Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Support MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, and shop with us over at Montalvo Store. Go to ebay.com and search in the advanced search. Type in Montalvo Store. Now support Montalvo Broadcasting Network. We have a wide array of books on conspiracy, apparel, and much more. Support your favorite radio station, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, by visiting Montalvo Store on ebay.com.
Tribal, primitive, rustic, Burning Man, punk rock, conceptual subculture for the edgiest, most cutting-edge designs of jewelry today. Go to etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture, or one word, either by going to Google or search Etsy, ETSY.com, and type in one word, conceptual subculture. You will find the hottest designs using natural stones with wire wrap rings, rough, raw, genuine, semi-precious gemstone jewelry, solid sterling silver, copper, leather, orgonite, bracelets, pendants, chokers, men's copper cups with sterling accents, eco-friendly, repurposed, original, one-of-a-kind design earrings. Support MBN by going to Conceptual Subculture on Etsy. Go to Antique Obsessions for the hottest in jewelry, antiques, repurposed, solid sterling silver, one-of-a-kind, handmade by Bruce and Jaja. Go to our Facebook, which is Antique Obsessions, or you can go to Etsy.com and go to Antique Obsessions, one word, or type it into your Google and find us there. Thanks.
The stylish and hippest clothing around. Go to Poshmark.com. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. At Anti-Culture. The coolest, hippest apparel on the internet. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. Bruce Montalvo.
Continues to spread conspiracy theories.
Penchant for promoting bogus conspiracies as though they were fact.
Conspiracy theory.
This is CNN, a network of China broadcasting systems.
Bruce Montalvo is the only radio talk show host that's not controlled. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show, November 20th, 2019, speeding closer and closer to 2020. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about symbols, and more symbols, the esoteric translation of symbols. And who better to talk to that about than with Jordan Maxwell, who is joining me here. He is, needs no introduction, really, professor, lecturer of symbology, researcher, author. Jordan joins me here. Hello, Jordan.
Yeah, hello there, Bruce. Good to be with you.
Good to have you on. I just got through watching your riveting series, The Secret Life of Symbols. How fun was it to film that?
They were very, very nice. It was very interesting to be able to do that at Gaia. It was done at Gaia, and my friend Jay Widener was the producer at Gaia, and he got me the job to do those. And from what I gather, my series that I did on that symbol series is the highest rated on the Gaia network.
Yeah, I've seen it. Lot of good feedback, a lot of thumbs up.
Yeah, a lot of thumbs up. It was the highest rated because I did 11 different videos, 11 different shows, and each one was the one that got the least likes was 93% likes was the least.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, and so it was like 96, 97 likes, 98 likes, 98% likes, 97% likes. And so the least I got on that whole series was 93% likes. So all of my shows were in the 90, from the mid to high 90% likes, which I thought was very incredible. I thought that was astounding that I got that kind of a response because of the shows that we were doing. I didn't think people were going to really understand them very well, but it turned out the people liked it.
They love it. They want more of it. You're going to be up there competing with the Disney Plus app. They just launched that. No, it's just as good as anything they could put out. And what's crazy? All these Disney movies, the latest, Marvel movies, they had a god that's based off of the Greek gods, Tithanos, get his head cut off. I mean, that's kind of racy for a Disney movie. Now they're showing decapitations. I think the Saudis took them over or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, Disney is involved in a lot of dark stuff right now. You have no idea how much dark stuff Disney is into. They're into a lot of communist subversion, Soviet communism crap that they are promoting, and their television shows.
Oh yeah,
movies.
if I may, the Iron Man symbolism, Iron Man, and they show the obvious hammer and sickle and the red and yellow colors in one, and of course, they're into the magic. I see them promoting Thor now, the comic book of Odin, Thor. They're just letting it all out.
That's precisely my point, that they are heavily involved in the Illuminati secret society propaganda to propagandize America's youth and prepare them for a communist world takeover.
Yes.
And it's incredible how overwhelming and in your face their stuff really is.
It's insane, Jordan. I was on a plane and I put on the new Lion King, right? And in the old Lion King, they say dawn of a new era, dawn of a new day, the villain. And then the villain goes on and he rallies up a bunch of hyenas like he's Hitler, Scar, and they have a full-out Nazi scene where they're marching in unison like they're the Waffen SS. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then there's an actual sex scene in the Lion King.
That's what I'm talking about. There's all kinds of hidden political, subversive, communistic, Marxist, Leninist, communistic, and Nazi philosophy and Nazi symbolism in the movies and television shows, and especially that television series a couple of years ago called V. Do you remember it? The V, the TV series V?
I remember seeing the promos,
Yeah, well, boy, that thing is jam-packed with communist propaganda right out of the Lenin School of Politics.
Oh, yeah.
The old Lenin School of Politics in Soviet Union that was training all the communist subversion and all the communist agents to bring it to the Western world, Marxist communism. Well, boy, it's just crammed filled with it. And in that television series that ABC did called V.
Right. But, Marvel is...
And it was all about how extraterrestrial aliens who are coming to the earth to help mankind with these problems on the earth.
Yeah.
And when they get here, the extraterrestrials are roaming around the world. They're roaming around the earth trying to get people to follow them. And they're telling the people, here's what we're going to do for you. If you'll just follow us, here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to help you with your government, help you with your medical, we'll help you with your crime, and all these wonderful things we're going to do for you. And then they have a pamphlet.
Yeah.
In the movie, the extraterrestrials have a pamphlet they're handing out around the world to tell the people of the world what they're going to do for you.
Yeah.
And the name of the pamphlet was Dawn of a New Day. That's the name of the pamphlet, The Dawn of a New Day. The extraterrestrials are handing out to the world to show the world what they're going to do for us. And the pamphlet was called The Dawn of a New Day.
That's incredible. Marvel, they're up there. They're owned by Disney, and they have they're letting people know that the wars are going to be infinite because they have a movie called Infinity Wars. And again, they base it on a lot of the gods of folklore, like Thor and this other god that's literally the personification of death. So he gets this glove, and he's able to wipe away 50% of all living things on the universe. So that, I mean, like you said, that's their mentality. And then the alien aspects of it, or the extraterrestrial, where they have Nazis getting technology from the aliens, and then super soldiers like Captain America. He's a Nazi super soldier. All this was once fiction, once comic books, but
that's the kind of stuff
real,
I'm talking about. ABC, Disney is heavily involved in promotion of dark secret society, occult symbolism for the Communist Party, for Marxist-Leninism, for the not only the Communist Party but for the Nazi Party. And it's just overwhelming in your face when they're making movies like The Lion King.
Yes.
Lion King is an astronomical story based on what Adolf Hitler was trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. Hitler was talking about the coming of the new age, of the sun rising on the dawn of a new world order, and that's what that's what the movie was all about.
Yeah.
Was the sun in the age of Leo the Lion King, and it has to do with astrology. It's just an incredible story about where Disney and ABC that bought Disney, or Disney bought ABC, but what Disney is really all about today is just extraordinary stuff. They're right in your face, telling you what they're doing. They're promoting their Marxist communism, Nazism, the world revolutionary movement, all kinds of dark stuff that's in your face. I mean, there's no way to get around it.
Oh no! When I was a kid, the Rafiki, from Lion King, there was this monkey. He's doing voodoo and summoning the dead. He's allowing the lion's son, the prince, to speak to the old king lion that was killed by his brother. It's based off of also the Lion King. I think is based off of Set and the Osiris and all the whole how Set turns on Osiris. And he kills his brother. I mean, it's just, like you said, it's just in your face.
It is. It's just amazing what they're involving themselves in. And I mean, I had a job I was offered to be in a movie at Disney. They called and wanted me to be a part of a motion picture in a movie they were making. And as because it was the kind of subject I deal with, and so they wanted me in the movie. And I went out there, and what I discovered was the guards, even the guards there, are absolutely out of control. Everything is total Nazism. It's all a very, very dark fascist operation Disney is. Their guards are scary. I mean, I was just amazed at the kind of mentality the guards at the Disney studio displayed. It was really kind of very scary to me.
Yeah, then they got that Club 33.
It's Club 33 down at Disney, and like I said, it's just Disney Studios has been taken over by a highly, highly subversive organization. Disney knew about them, and Disney knew what was going on, and he realized what they wanted to do was take over his studio, because his studio was so popular with young people around the world. Everyone loved Disney Studios, Walt Disney. And so Disney realized that the power-hungry, Marxist power-hungry, secret societies wanted to own Disney. They wanted to own it so that they could put their propaganda into Disney films for children and for young people, and put it in there for movies and television shows. And Disney knew that. He fought them all the way, but they finally won. They finally broke him and caused him to go broke, and then bought him out and bought Disneyland out, and now the subversive owned Disney Studios.
Oh yeah, I read, Jordan, that the FBI, he was collaborating with the FBI at one point. You remember Senator McCarthy yelled about the communists of Hollywood, and everybody said he was crazy. But the more the years go by, I think that senator was totally smeared, and I think he was right, because it was total communist takeover.
Correct,
as you say.
Yep, and when George Lucas, which I had lunch with George Lucas out at Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
But when George Lucas sold Disney the Star Wars operation, the whole Star Wars project, George Lucas sold that whole project of Star Wars to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And did you see what George Lucas said publicly about that deal? About when Disney bought his Star Wars project for a lot of money?
I just heard that he says he's not involved really in the new movies. It's just his studios, but he's got nothing to do with the new movies. But yeah, what did he say?
He said something to the effect that I have sold my children to the slave owners. I've sold my children to the slave owners. And he was very, very unhappy with that deal, selling his Star Wars stories to Disney. He said, I sold my children to the slave owners.
He sold his soul to the devil.
That was pretty heavy-duty comment for George Lucas to make him public about the deal with Disney.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of anger even in the Fox world, because they got taken over. You know, Fox was taken over by Disney recently, and they had a cartoon of the Simpsons, and Bart Simpson, Disney forced him to put on the Mickey ears, and he's like, I won't put on the nose. And then his dad Homer's like, boy, they're paying us a lot of money, you better put on that nose. You know?
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know about that.
And then he puts on the nose, but then he turns around and drops his pants and shows Disney his butt.
Incredible.
It seems like Disney's just like a conqueror right now, just taking everything over.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. And they're taking it over because Disney is on the very front. They're on the very front of promoting Marxist communism, period.
Yeah.
And it's a very overwhelming political movement by Disney to promote Marxist communism out of Soviet Union communism. And it's overwhelming and provable in your face. And I have got all kinds of proofs on that. I've done a lot of research on the movies and what's being said in the movies, quotes that are in the movies. And I think it was Disney that did a series on ants. Mm-hmm. Wasn't it Disney that did
the movie Ants?
That movie group, a bunch of movies on ants.
Yes.
Well, in there's a scene in one of the ant movies where the leader of the ant colony is calling everybody to war. He's calling everybody to war. And all the ants are lining up behind the leader. And it shows him on a platform talking to the whole ant colony. And he said, this is the dawn of a new day for the world revolution. It's the dawn of a new day. And we have to be ready, prepared for war. And I thought to myself, my God, Jordan, dawn of a new day. That was a symbol that was taken directly off of the Soviet national coat of arms.
Yes.
The Soviet coat of arms was called the dawn of a new day with the sun rising. And there it is on the ant movies. The chief ant, the head ant, is telling the whole ant colony, we are now at the beginning of the dawn of a new day for a world revolution. And so that's what Disney's doing, is preparing the whole human race for a world revolution. And the revolution is going to be for young people to revolt against their parents, to revolt against the system of ethics and morals and scruples that we have in the Western civilization. So Disney is leading the attack on Western civilization with their filthy and degenerate secret societies, with their hidden symbolism. I'm just amazed beyond words.
It's never ending. They even outright put pornography in some of the cartoons. Like I forget the name, but it's these mice that are running around, and on the street there's some piece of paper that's flying around, and it's literally porno. It's just so small to see, but it's there. It's hidden.
And then Spielberg, he's produced a television series for kids on kids' TV on Saturday, Saturday television for children called Pinky and the Brain.
Oh my goodness! I watch that all the time.
I was amazed when I saw that. It said produced by Steven Spielberg. Spielberg has produced a television series for kids television on Saturday morning called Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, yeah, the Pinky and the Brain, the Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane.
That's it. You got it. And so Pinky is this crazy, goofy mouse, mentally deranged little goofy mouse that's running around behind the old man and the old master rat. He's a rat, and he's an old master rat. And so Pinky, and every time it comes on, Pinky, the stupid mouse, is running behind the old man rat, and the rat's name is the Brain. He's the Brain, and Pinky is the ignorant fool following him. And Pinky asked the Brain and the TV show, what are we going to do today, Brain? You're the boss. What are we going to do? And the old rat said, we're going to do what we've always done, take over the world. Is that, and then the music comes on. They talk about the sun rising on the dawn of a new day. The sun was rising on the new day, the new dawn, when the world would be taken over by the Soviet communist bloc, and the Soviet communism is going to take over the world. And that's what the old rat says when Pinky said, what are we going to do today? He said, we're going to take over the world the way we've always done it.
Yeah, and then they show this giant weapon, this electromagnetic pulse giant weapon at the pole, at the very pole of the Earth, and then it gravitates, brings all the consciousness or planets, together, and it brings Saturn in particular just crashing down upon the
I think
the globe Earth.
Absolutely outrageous.
They talk about their genes being spliced, and then even in some cartoons, the Brain, he's a master in robotics, and he creates these cyborgs, and he is the brain inside the cyborg that's a politician. So he's controlling a cyborg politician. He's up there making policies.
That's it.
It's
That's
hilarious.
What I'm talking about.
It's all Spielberg.
It's an incredible story of where Disney Studios is at now.
Yeah.
And the people who are behind it, financing, organizing, and directing Disney Studios to promote communist propaganda is what we call the WRM, World Revolutionary Movement. The World Revolutionary Movement are the brains, the money, and the operators behind world communism and world Nazism.
Yes.
World Nazism is very powerful today. It's operating all over the earth. But most people don't know that in the Western world. They don't know that the Nazis are an extremely powerful political banking order on the earth. And it's very well hidden that Nazis are running the earth from behind the scenes, and so are the communists. They are running the earth also together. They're both working together, communism and Nazism. Hitler talked about the dawning of a new day in all of his speeches. He kept talking about the sun was rising on the dawn of a new day. You go on the web and type in Dawn of a New Day speech by Adolf Hitler. And it's incredible. He talked about the coming sun is rising on the dawn of a new day for world Nazism. At the same time, in the Soviet Union, the communist leaders were talking about the dawn of a new day for Soviet communism, showing that they're both being financed, organized, and directed by the same secret society that is being talked about with Pinky and the Brain.
Or in Star Wars, they talk about all the wars are just bogus, and they're just merely selling equipment for the stars. I mean, you know, they're preparing for their real life space wars. So
that's right, and that's why I think it's coming. I believe we're going to be attacked from outer space. I think there's going to be some kind of a invasion force.
Where are they going to come through? The Milky Way, Jordan? Because that's the only way I see that, you know, given the ancient structures of the Earth, this protected field that's around the Earth. I mean, there's this crack that I've researched. That's the Milky Way. I mean, I think they would come in through there.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think where this invasionary force will come from, I think it's going to come from the planet Saturn.
Yes.
Because I have heard from people at NASA who know that Saturn is inhabited, and we know that Saturn is inhabited because we got pictures of the vehicles flying into the planet Saturn, and their military vehicles. And so it seems as though there's some sort of a military buildup on the planet Saturn. And the reason why it's a military buildup, is because NASA believes that there's a military buildup being built up on the planet Saturn because they're getting ready to invade the Earth.
Well,
and
I think
it's here a lot of military from somewhere out in space. They're bringing it here to the planet Saturn, getting it ready for a full-scale invasion of the Earth.
I think they've already invaded through their frequency is a Saturnian frequency, and Saturn is a consciousness. Definitely governs what we do here. Or at one point, it was a sun that was closer, because you see the ancients would worship by having Saturn on their crowns. But I think the invasion's already here, Jordan. They're already here. They already control the human race from within, more of a macro cosmic kind of level, even from within our bodies. I think parasitical level. They're here. There's just unseen. They come in through your sinuses, probably get you sick. They're a virus.
No doubt about it. What about John Carpenter's movie, They Live?
That's right.
I think that Hollywood has known for a long time, and that's what's behind the power of Hollywood, is an extraterrestrial, otherworldly, demonic depravity that's operating in human society and using Hollywood as the front man.
Right. You and I would
be using Hollywood to promote otherworld demonic depravity.
You and I would be the characters in They Live that can see the symbols that are all
right.
over. You know, like
right.
Roddy Piper's character. And, you know, my book that deals with symbols, I wouldn't have been able to write it if it weren't for you. Though that's kind of like the They Live glasses. If you get my book, I mean, because, I mean, we've had so many great talks over the years. I was able to, like, a chronology of everything we've talked about and with research of all these symbols that can help you see that occult world, help you see what others don't see, what people like Jordan Maxwell sees, what people like myself see. And it's these symbols everywhere, these ancient occult symbols.
For 60 years.
Yes.
60 years I've been trying to tell people. I lived in Los Angeles for almost 60 years. And I know that town well, and I know the writers, I know the television show producers, I know these people well, and I know what they're doing, and I know how they're doing it. And there's just nothing I can do about it but just talk about it. And hopefully people are listening to understand. Watch what your children are watching.
Right, it's a dark place.
These propagandized.
Yes, I gotta ask you, Jordan. It's a dark place, Hollywood, and I got loved ones that maybe say they want to act one day. You know, they're young, and they're young. As as one of their relatives, what do I say to them? Like, stay away. That's the devil. Is that the right thing to say?
Tell them that you can talk to people who have lived in Hollywood, who know it backwards and forwards, and are really well connected in Hollywood. And they tell you, stay away from Hollywood.
Absolutely.
It is a very, very evil place. It's a very, very scary place.
Yes.
We're talking about organized crime on a level that you never even imagined possible.
Wow.
And you're seeing some of these people now being outed with raping so many women in Hollywood, you know, and the what's his name?
Epstein.
The one who had the island for prostitutes.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. It's the same.
Epstein.
You know that castle of his is the same castle, the same design as the Disney castle.
That's right.
Interesting, isn't it?
But they're bringing young girls and young kids down there, young boys and young kids down there to be raped on the island, so they won't be bothered by any law enforcement or anybody knowing anything about it.
Oh my
So
God.
tell the young people that you know want to go into Hollywood, tell them you better stay away.
Oh, I will.
Because you're going to wake up and find out you're involved in organized crime with people who are buying and selling children on a market. They're buying and selling children and selling them around the world.
Oh my
and
God.
You have no idea in the world what's going on in Hollywood. So
it's the scariest place for a child. I mean, they literally they rip the pineal gland out of it.
It's a deadly place for adult women.
Yeah.
You got to know how bad it is for a kid if adult women are being killed and raped and plundered and all the stuff that you're hearing coming out of Hollywood with all these women who are now popping up talking about all the stuff that was going on and how they were being raped and sold and bought and sold in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's a horrible, horrible place. You need to realize.
I will be sure to let the people that around me, my relatives, know that stay the hell away. Don't you even think about being an actor.
No, you might want to just go into Chicago and join the mafia, join the mob.
It's the same thing, right?
It's the same identical thing. It's a very frightening criminal element that's running loose. And they can do whatever they want and get away with whatever they want because they got the money to buy their way out of anything. So they can do anything to you if you're a kid or a teenager there.
Yeah. You have no
you are
say.
sitting duck and they can do whatever they want with you. And there's nobody going to do anything. Nobody's going to touch them because the judges will even tell you in Los Angeles there is no justice. There's just us.
Oh, man.
And so stay away from Hollywood. Stay away from that place, Los Angeles, completely. It's a very dirty place.
It's going to be a disaster zone soon. I mean, you see with all the fires that look like something out of the War of the Worlds.
That's exactly right. And also, if you go on the web to YouTube and look at Los Angeles, how bad off Los Angeles is, there are whole half-hour shows driving around Los Angeles talking about the human sacrifices and bodies of people being found with their heads, with human sacrifices, and finding children with their heads being cut off. All kinds of
sounds
dark
like Mexico
stuff like that going on in Hollywood.
It sounds like Los Angeles just became Mexico. Decided to be Mexico.
I think so, and it is a Marxist communist state.
Just like Mexico.
No doubt about it. Yeah, and just keep in mind who runs Mexico if it's not the Vatican.
Right.
The Vatican is probably the biggest criminal syndicate on the face of the earth, and it makes all the other criminal syndicates around the world look like child's play because the Vatican has been involved with organized crime for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
Organized crime, the Roman Empire, Rome. And this is why the Pope is called the Holy Father, because he has the ability to talk to God. He is the original Godfather. He's the Holy Father who talks to God. He is the Godfather in Rome. That should tell you something about the Vatican.
Well, he believes himself higher. He believes himself to be higher than God. That's what makes him so unholy.
That's what makes him so holy, is he's the Holy Father. He's the Father.
Yeah.
And so Jesus said that when you pray to our Father who art in heaven, not our Father who runs the mafia from Rome and the Vatican, not our Father.
Eating spaghetti and meatballs. You got to pray to some fat Goomba. I don't know. That's who God was.
You just need to tell people stay away from Los Angeles. It's a very bad place.
Oh,
People who lived in Los Angeles for years are leaving. They are getting out of the city. People are leaving that city. Why? Because there's so much unemployment. There's so much stupidity and ignorance in people, and there are gangs everywhere. There are gangs, gang fights, gang wars on the streets. There's alcoholism, drug abuse, police and police department tragedies going on everywhere.
It's the ending of human existence there as we know it. The gods have turned their backs on all the Californians, and it is certain doom is around the corner. I mean, seismologists, though, the Salton Sea there is a ticking time bomb. 9.9 and up could hit that area, that part of the world, and totally sink it into the ground. There will be, California will be an island unto itself like it used to be. And
and you can imagine what's going to happen with all those millions of 37, the 38, the 40 million people living in California.
It's going to be hell.
And they're running out of water.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And they can't even put the fires out because they don't have the water to put the fires out. And so California is a very, very sick place, a very bad place.
I think something scary is around the corner because if you go by the predictive programming in movies like Demolition Man with Sylvester,
That's right.
with Sylvester Stallone, they said the big earthquake of 2010 destroyed Los Angeles and turned it into San Andreas or something. And that's 2010. Yep. That means we're 10 years overdue. I mean, that movie came out in the 1999 or something. So, where'd they get their script? They might be a little off, but I'm thinking 2020 and beyond. They're overdue for the big one. They've been having big ones, all by the Northern California area.
Of course they have, and the place is on fire from top of California to the bottom of California. The place is burning to the ground. It's an incredible story about how much has been lost in California, and I've heard organized crime and organized syndicates are involved with the burning of California. Mm-hmm. And it's being done with high-tech stuff.
Yes.
Government has high-tech stuff in the satellites, lasers that can melt high rises
and people. I've seen the crimes, Jordan. I've seen deaths. I've seen them disintegrated. I've seen on YouTube. There was a car, and it seemed like a person tried to get out of their car, and as soon as they got, there was a little pile of dust where that person should be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
It's insane.
If you're thinking about going to California, you better think again. You better run the opposite way.
Run for your life.
Stay out of California, because everybody who lives there knows it's a deadly, deadly, dark, dirty place. And talk about corruption in government and laws in government. The judges are all on the tape. The cops are really off the wall. Extremely violent stuff going on in California. Stay away from that state, period.
Yes. People
who live there all their life and have money and are doing well are leaving California. By the thousands of people are leaving continually. People are getting out of California. They know it's over. California's finished. It used to be a beautiful state,
yes.
But now that the secret societies and the powers behind Hollywood have moved into California and are raping it, destroying it, and burning it to the ground.
It looks toxic.
Bringing in gangs from all over the world. My God, what a horrible place.
There's a toxic cloud looming, since the 80s. Looming. It just keeps getting worse. Just right there sitting on Los Angeles in Southern California.
That's what I'm talking about. That's right.
That is, the people that are breathing it are just getting sick. Radon and all sorts of stuff they breathe in. And then now with these fires, the air quality is some of the worst air quality in the world.
On the earth,
yes.
Period. Oh, God, yeah. Stay away from California, period.
Yeah, we got out. I got
out.
Yeah.
I was there for 60 years. I had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. It was horrible. If you get 40 million people in one state, the last time I heard it was 38 to 39 million people in California. And they've run out of water.
Wow.
Can you imagine what life is going to be like with 40 million people with no water, no food, no work, no money? 40 million people with no food or water? My God, you don't have to be a genius to figure out that's the one place you don't want to be.
It's got to be a mass extinction, population control being conducted in California. Absolutely.
That's right. No doubt about it. It's a scary place.
Whew, man. So, I got getting goosebumps just thinking about it because, my whole family's there, and they don't listen. The family's the worst to try to wake up. It's like the movie They Live, and like the scene where he's literally beating his friend up with fists and hitting him with a garbage can so they could put on the glasses and see the symbols, the truth.
No doubt about it. That's what Hollywood is telling you. Some people in Hollywood are good guys. They're trying to tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
They make movies to tell you.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, they said it wasn't a movie. Roddy Piper said it was a documentary. So
that's what I think it was. That's what I think it was. It was a documentary. They Live. Go watch it if you can find it on YouTube. They Live.
Online. It's definitely, or buy it, download it.
Buy it and get it.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. And then watch the television show ABC put out called V. And at the very end of the movie, they say the extraterrestrials are here to help us, and they are putting out a track an article for the people of the earth to read about what the ETs want to do. And it says that they want to establish the dawn of a new day for the whole world.
Right.
Well, that's the symbol on the Soviet national coat of arms of the Soviet Union. That's what it says. It says the dawn of a new day for the entire world.
Right. I heard you mentioning the Saturn, that they're gearing up for a Saturnian invasion. Well, I think it's got to have something to do with the Titan mythology, or the Titans.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
They keep mentioning Titans here, and in this movie, Titans there. Almost everywhere the theme is that the monsters, or in Godzilla, was the monsters were the Titans. And they're coming back because they have to destroy humanity to start over again. And it looks like there's this Jesuit secret organization called Monarch controlling the whole thing, and they're bringing the monsters or the Titans back. And one of them is a three-headed monster, definitely taken from Revelations in the Bible, but he's supposed to be a Saturnian energy that is coming to destroy humanity by 2020. Everything is Titans, from DC Comics, everything. The whole theme everywhere is monsters or Titans, and monsters and Titans.
Yep, and also then you'll be able to see things very clear because you'll be in 2020.
Right.
And that's what the eye doctors will tell you. If you got 20/20 vision, you can't get it any better than that. So I think that they're planning something for next year for us all humans to see.
Yes.
And it's going to be we're going to have a 20/20 vision. We're going to see all kinds of things you've never seen before. They never let you see, and they made sure you didn't know anything about it. But maybe they're going to show us what they're really all about, what Hollywood is really doing, who ABC and Disney really are,
right,
and where the money is coming from, and why are they doing what they're doing to California and to the people, and what's really going to happen to America next year. Next year, exactly this time next year, I believe you're going to see some terrible things happening in America. Because the Communist Party in America, who used to be in charge of the Soviet Union, they are now here in America. And they are going to overthrow this country, the government of the United States.
They're trying like hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the other day that...
I would be a bit surprised if we're going to see the overthrow of the United States government.
Well, just the other day, Jordan, I heard that Donald Trump was possibly poisoned.
That's right.
So,
and it doesn't surprise me because they want to kill the president.
What's going to happen next? It's insanity. We talked about, you mentioned NASA, and frankly, I don't really, I think they're like a bunch of fork-tongued, charlatans, but I think that we all experienced NASA technology via these, the air travel. I mean, anybody that gets in an airplane today, you're an astronaut. You're flying in space. That's why I think people don't realize that how special it. I mean, most of these planes. I was just traveling recently. I came back from your neck of the woods out there, Florida. A lot of these planes, they're built by Raytheon or Boeing, and they have the Saturnian logos.
Oh,
right?
heavens,
Boeing
yes.
has the Saturnian
I
logo.
don't fly anywhere, boy. I stay away from planes.
Oh man!
And I've been invited 2 or 3 times. I've had invites to go on cruises with the big cruise lines.
No. Yeah.
I've had the cruise lines contact me and like for me to go on a cruise because I'm doing radio. They'd like for me to promote the cruise lines. And so the best way to do that, they say, is to give me a free cruise to the Bahamas on cruise lines, and then I can advertise it and talk about how great it was. And I told them, I said, I'm a radio talk show host, but I am not about to go on a cruise anywhere in the world. I don't get on boat and take cruises. That's the one thing I don't do.
Oh, man. No, a boat sounds, just like it's going to be flopping all over the place.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about how many people go missing on cruise lines?
No.
Young girls, young boys, teenage girls, teenage boys, They go with their parents and they go on a cruise. But when the cruise comes back, the boys are not there. They're gone.
Oh, my God.
Nobody knows where the girls went. Nobody knows where they went. Nobody has any idea what happened to these kids. They're gone. They're not found. They don't know where they are.
They have a kidnapping ring. No, this is the occult right here, and all these air travel, and travel organizations. They're occult. Like I wanted to say, when I was traveling, the logo, American Airlines, they just changed their logo. It's the A10 logo, from the Egyptian A10.
Incredible.
Right, and then the Israeli airline is Air L. Like Elohim, and Elohim is supposed to be the sky god. So
that's right.
A lot of these logos and symbols. I mean, we cover in the book that's coming out. Thanks to your research and mine combined. A lot of these symbols I explain to the people. Just what they're experiencing. You get on a flight. Just the airline alone has a occult symbol. Cars, oh my goodness, cars. The logos for cars are all occult. Toyota, all of them. Saturn logos everywhere. Even the car company called Saturn.
The North Pole of Saturn is the Star of David.
Mm-hmm.
A hexagram is on the North Pole. Go on the web and type in hexagram on Saturn.
Yes.
Or Saturnian hexagram. And there's a big Star of David hexagram on the North Pole of the planet Saturn.
Wow.
And see, the hexagram, what we call the Star of David, it was originally called, not the Star of David. The Star of David is a 6-pointed hexagram. It was called a hex, and it was referred to as the Star of Saturn. It was a Saturnian star.
Right.
And so if you look at it and look in the dictionary under it's Saturnian star, the Star of Saturn, and it's the Star of David, the 6-pointed Star of David,
right,
is on the planet Saturn.
Hex also is.
And I think that's interesting because the God of the Jews today, the Jewish people are worshiping today, all over the world, the God of the Jews today is the planet Saturn.
Yeah.
Saturn was called El. Look it up in the dictionary. El is God in Israel today. El is the name of God in Israel. And then you find out that goes all the way back to Isis and Amun-Ra in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Ra, R-A, Amun-Ra, and you got Isis, which is I-S. So you got I-S, R-A, and L. Israel. Israel is Isis, Ra, and El.
Wow.
And so it's the three names of the esoteric gods of the Middle East. Israel.
Right, and then Hex, or it could be Heka, like the Heka, the god.
That's why the Jews are always complaining that they're being picked on, where they're wearing around their neck a hex.
Right.
It's a 6-pointed star. It's called a hexagram. Hex is 6.
They are being picked on, and by the Jesuits who put that hexagram on them.
That's right. And it wasn't. And that 6-pointed star, the Star of David, has nothing to do with King David. If you go back into history and read in the King James Bible, in the Old Testament, look at these scriptures where it talks about King James and King David. Look in the King James Bible at the scriptures that talk about King David, and then go back to the old Hebrew Bible back in the late 1500s, the old Hebrew Bible, and read that same scripture in the original old Hebrew Bible, and it doesn't say King David, it says King Druid.
Wow.
Not D-A-V-I-D, it's D-R-U-I-D. King Druid, not King David. Showing that Judaism is a Druidic religion. And today, the reference works, encyclopedias will tell you that the Druids called themselves Hebrews. And their priesthood, the Druid priesthood in Europe, called themselves Hebrews. Yeah. They were a priesthood. So today what we call Hebrew is actually Druidic. And go back into the encyclopedia and look up Druids, and you'll see that the Druids had priesthood. And the Druids were referred to as the high priest. They were the governors, they were the politicians, the doctors, the lawyers. Anybody who had any important position in Europe was a Druid. And one of the most important symbols that was used among the Druids to show for power, the most important symbol of power in the Druidic system was a magic wand, like Merlin the magician and Mickey Mouse with the magic wand. And today we have orchestra leaders who are leading the music of the orchestra with the magic wand. And magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of holly wood. Then today we still have the Druids, the people who call themselves Jews, the Druids, the Hebrews, and they are running Hollywood. And when you begin to see the connection between Hollywood and the Druidic priesthoods and the homosexual and the sexual perversion going on in Hollywood, it all begins to make sense when you begin to see the symbols and for the first time open your mind up to see what's really going on in Hollywood.
Right. No, I see a lot, Jordan. Thanks to you, I see symbols everywhere from Catholic churches to even synagogues. I mean, I was in a
synagogues everywhere.
I was in a synagogue recently over there, and I saw this menorah that looked quite peculiar to me because it looked like a 7-headed snake. And I did some.
The seven candle lampstand is why we have 7 days of the week.
Right, and that 7-headed snake, I did some research, goes back to Sumeria, and it's supposed to be like a hero. But then the snake symbolism also goes back to Apep from Egyptian and even before that, Zoroastrian, right? Apep was like a chaotic demon snake. So
yep, you're right.
I don't know what the hell to do, whether to bow down because it's a 7-headed snake or what, you know? Is it positive? Is it negative? It's a snake at the end of the day, and the symbolism is occult. It could be Apep, or he could be a hero or a villain, right? I mean, it's kind of perplexing.
It's an incredible story. Yeah, what could it be?
Right.
We're looking at all the stuff that's being thrown at us by professionals, people who are paid large salaries and live well, live in castles in Hollywood, who know what they're doing. They're selling the country out. They're selling the people out. They're buying your children. They're raping and plundering and destroying your culture, and the people love it. People are so ignorant, they have no idea in the world what's really going on.
No.
And one day they're going to wake up and find out your enemies were not your enemies from out there. Your enemies were the domesticated one from inside.
That's
your
right.
enemies are living right next to you. They're selling you your motion pictures, your television shows. They're running your banks. They're in control of your religion, your educational society, your military, your police department. All of this dark stuff is demonic and depraved. And it's all falling apart now, all around the world. The whole world is waking up to see how corrupt the human race really is now. So anyway...
Absolutely, Jordan. Let's almost wrap up here. Your research society, Jordan Maxwell Research Society. You still accepting people into the research society? Of course. How do they go to it?
Of course. Go on my website. My website is Jordan Maxwell Show. JORDAN. Jordan Maxwell Show.
Yes.
And don't forget that word show. You need to put show on the end of my name, Jordan Maxwell Show, because that's my website. I don't. There are other websites out there with my name on it, but they don't belong to me. Has got nothing to do with me. There are other people using my name to make themselves, to sell their products and to make themselves wealthy, but they don't belong to me. And so, if you're looking for my work, go to Jordan Maxwell Show, and you will see advertised on the home page a research website that you can join. Go on the research website and join my research website, because that's where I'm putting all the pictures and documents and audios and videos and all the white papers and research papers and articles that I've been looking at for years and doing research on. It's all there on Jordan Maxwell Research website. Join it. You won't believe how much is on there. We're putting new stuff on every day.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, book recommendations and free downloads, and like you said, pictures and pictures of just amazing research that you've compiled over the years. Just, I'm a member, and I highly recommend it. Jordan Maxwell Research Society. Jordan, you're going to be doing some appearances. You're getting a big award in Nevada. Would you like to tell my audience a little bit about that?
Yep, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be speaking at a major conference, a mega conference, a big one, that's going to be in Laughlin, Nevada, which is about 50 to 60 miles south of Las Vegas, on the Colorado River. About 50 miles south of Las Vegas in Nevada is a place called Laughlin, Nevada. It's a gambling town just identical to Las Vegas, but nowhere near as large. It's just a small, little, cozy little town right on the Colorado River with beautiful hotels and the casinos. And we're going to be at one of the big hotels there, and it's going to be a major UFO conference. And they're going to have speakers coming from all over the world. And it's called the 2020 UFO Mega Conference. 2020 Mega Conference. And it's going to be, the subject matter is going to be extraterrestrials, UFOs, world conspiracy, all kinds of dark stuff that's going on in the world. And you're going to have all the right speakers, the teachers, the researchers, etc. And I'm going to be doing a special presentation there for that movie, for that mega conference.
Yeah.
So 2020 UFO Mega Conference.
That's
in Laughlin, Nevada.
Wow. So are people expecting a mass sighting of some sort, some type of mass event?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised because you're going to have all the right people there. If you have all the right people, you never know what might happen.
Right. Well, for 2020, I mean, people are anticipating, like we said earlier, to have 2020 vision. And I've been doing some research, and there's supposed to be some type of possibly aurora-like event or some type of fog-like event. Again, I don't know. Maybe even the angels in the heavens don't know what's going to happen. But, you know, it has something to do with the polar vortex, possibly, or even they could even fake a giant alien invasion. The Nazis in the secret space program, they have that technology.
Look, it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me now with what I've seen with my own eyes, and I know from people on the inside of government, from military people on the inside of NASA, my personal friends on the inside of
Have
military.
any of those guys told you that possibly if there is this aurora event that we'll get superpowers?
Well, they have told me that there's some very serious things getting ready to happen on the Earth. And it's going to appear that it's going to be coming from extraterrestrials. And there are ETs here. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
What I'm saying, Jordan,
we do have extraterrestrial presence here on the Earth with us right now.
Yes, well, it means extra lands. At the end of the day, but they're coming from extra lands far beyond what we know on our plane here. But what I'm saying is, what if by 2020 you and I and certain people become like superheroes because like this event changes our cosmic freaking DNA, Something
Wow.
I feel like something exciting is also scary yet exciting. Looms over.
Now, I hadn't thought about that, but there very well might be something to that fact that it's 2020.
Mm-hmm.
If you got 2020 vision, eye doctors will tell you can't get any better than that, 2020 vision.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go into the year 2020, and we're going to be seeing things happening very soon in this world that you're not going to believe.
Right.
Of that, there's no doubt in my mind. I know that there's extraterrestrial life forms here because I've seen them.
Yeah.
So we will see what's coming.
Right.
So, yeah.
I've researched that they possibly look human-like. Like they have these the myth of the Nordic aliens or the mythology that they're humanoid. They call them the Ariani or the Arcturian. Again, like archons or the Ark. But we could go on for hours. We already have. But it's just wonderful to have you on, Jordan. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we got to have you on as many times as you want.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate always being on with you. And anytime you want, just give me a call and let's do it again. I'm always here.
You got it.
Do a show.
And I'm sending you a copy of my upcoming book. With again, you've been helping me with this book, and let's get it out there to the world, right?
I think so, and be happy to do that. And send me a copy. I want to see it, and I want to talk about it on the air when I'm doing my shows. I want to talk about the book.
I can't wait to get it to you. I mean, just give you a little tidbit of it. I mean, like all the auto companies. Like, you ever seen the Lexus, right? It's got a big L. Where does that come from, right? The L.
Yep, I know. I saw that.
Or Raytheon, Raytheon. I mean, it's like a dictionary. I literally go through it like a dictionary and just tell people what a lot of these logos mean, the occult translation of them, the esoteric translation. And that's thanks to you and your work that I was able to compile that book, and we're getting that book out to you, and then we'll do a whole show. I've already done a bunch of radio promotions plugging the book, but I'm just so excited that I get a chance to work with someone like you with this great book that I'm releasing.
I appreciate it, and I thank you again. Like I said, anytime you want to do a show, just let me know.
Okay.
And we'll talk later.
You got it. Thank you so much, Jordan, and stay well. Okay, we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was the man, the myth, the legend, Jordan Maxwell, joining me on the Bruce Montalvo Show. Very excited to have him on. The Language of Symbols is the book, and we're going to have it out to you right before the holidays. So just, I know a lot of people are anticipating it now, and they're chomping at the bit to get it. Well, I'm just, tightening up the last couple of screws on there before I put the bad boy on the road. Anyway, we're going to get this show on the road. You've been listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. Special guest Jordan Maxwell. And we'll see you back. Same Bruce station, same Bruce dial. See ya.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Support MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, and shop with us over at Montalvo Store. Go to eBay.com and search in the advanced search. Type in Montalvo Store. Now support Montalvo Broadcasting Network. We have a wide array of books on conspiracy, apparel, and much more. Support your favorite radio station, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, by visiting Montalvo Store on eBay.com.
Tribal, primitive, rustic, Burning Man, punk rock, conceptual subculture for the edgiest, most cutting-edge designs of jewelry today. Go to Etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture, or one word, either by going to Google or search Etsy. HOLIDAYSFROM, and type in one word, conceptual subculture. You will find the hottest designs using natural stones with wire wrap rings, rough, raw, genuine, semi-precious gemstone jewelry, solid sterling silver, copper, leather, orgonite, bracelets, pendants, chokers, men's copper cups with sterling accents, eco-friendly, repurposed, original, one-of-a-kind design earrings. Support MBN by going to Conceptual Subculture on Etsy. Go to Antique Obsessions for the hottest in jewelry, antiques, repurposed, solid sterling silver, one-of-a-kind, handmade by Bruce and Jaja. Go to our Facebook, which is Antique Obsessions, or you can go to Etsy.com and go to Antique Obsessions, one word, or type it into your Google and find us there. Thanks.
The stylish and hippest clothing around. Go to Poshmark.com. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. At Anti-Culture. The coolest, hippest apparel on the internet. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. Bruce Montalvo.
Continues to spread conspiracy theories.
Penchant for promoting bogus conspiracies as though they were fact.
Conspiracy theory.
This is CNN, a network of China broadcasting systems.
Bruce Montalvo is the only radio talk show host that's not controlled. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show, broadcasting live November 25th, 2019. And on today's show, I have a very special guest. He is David John Oates, and he joins us to talk about the very interesting phenomenon that is reverse speech. You know, when I was growing up, I'd hear all about rock and roll records being played backwards, having satanic messages, Kiss, Led Zeppelin, you name it, but I never thought it could be applied to regular people. And he goes around and he studies the speech patterns of certain people, very powerful people, and you'll be amazed of the things that he comes up with that they say when they play it backwards. It's just like spinning an old rock and roll record. Anyway, David John Oates joins me now. Hello, David. Thank you for being on.
No worries, mate. My pleasure. Yeah, the old satanic message in rock and roll. That's how I got started way back in '83.
Right on.
Yeah. So, running satanic messages backwards. And I, like you, I never thought it'd occur in speech. It's one thing to hear it in music, but then to suddenly come across it in speech is a whole new ball game altogether, So,
it certainly is. I mean, I remember hearing, being told to play Led Zeppelin, a certain Led Zeppelin song backwards, and it said, "Oh my sweet Satan."
That's right, yeah. Here, let me play one. This is Metallica.
All right.
Here, we'll play this for you. Backwards, he says, "I am Satan. I am.
Oh, man. Woo! I heard it.
Hear that? There you go.
Oh my God, that's giving me goosebumps. I'm sitting here headbanging. I didn't think I was gonna have a headbanging show.
There you go. So that's
gnarly.
The old satanic messages in rock and roll, and there was quite a few of them back in the day. I remember back in the 80s, all the controversy about it. It was there was court cases. Judas Priest was taken to court in '91 for having backward messages allegedly promoting suicide. So it was a big controversy back in those days. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's all over the rock and roll scene. Even certain religions, they recite things backwards. Just the whole backwards speech, very, very satanic, very ominous. But you have some politicians you've also done also. But if you have any more metal songs, you can hit me with those too.
Oh, that's the only one I had queued up. So,
right on. Love Metallica. But what's up?
Oh, no. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, right now, speaking of Satanism and all that, the pedophiles, they're pretty satanic. And, they're out there. And they're very powerful people. Some of them are alleged to be pedophiles. Like Prince Andrew, for instance. He just recently did a interview where he was sweating bullets. And I was sitting there, I was listening to it, I wonder if David John Oates would have any playback on what he's saying, what his subconscious is saying, because that's what it is, right? It's just subconscious.
I actually do. I've got a couple of very damning reversals on Prince Andrew.
Oh, let's hear them.
So why don't I start off with the damning one first? Here we go. Actually, I've got a couple of them. So here he's talking about this photograph.
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
And we play it backwards, and we hear him say, "Jeff had to get murdered."
Jeff admitted murdered.
Jeff admitted murdered.
You hear that?
Oh, man. Yes.
And let's run the whole lot backwards. You hear the gibberish, and then this clear phrase amongst the gibberish.
Yes, mute the Vic for Jeff admitted. Ja, this was mute the for Jeff admitted murdered. Oh no,
you hear it there amongst the gibberish?
Murdered.
That's right. He says it very slowly and deliberately. I'll do it again. It's almost like a callousness.
Jeff admitted murdered.
Jeff admitted murdered.
So what that tells me is that the Jeffrey Epstein was indeed murdered, and he had knowledge of it, and indeed wanted it to happen. Jeff had to get murdered.
Oh, man. So, he's sweating bullets in those interviews. I'm thinking if he's going to get murdered next for spilling the beans.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, he's been fired by the palace. They've asked him to clear out his office in Buckingham Palace. He's in real trouble. Here he is again talking about this photograph.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
How do you explain that?
I can't.
And here he says backwards, I cover this up.
I'll cover this up.
I'll cover this up.
And again. He's trying to cover up the whole thing, He's trying to sweep it under the rug. I cover this up.
Wow, and this is their subconscious talking, right? I
right.
mean,
exactly.
When they're speaking, they're unaware that their subconscious is also talking. And how does it come into effect? I mean, by going backwards, by reversing the speech, where you can hear their true thoughts.
Well, the theory is that language is bilevel, forwards as well as backwards. And as the human brain is putting the sounds of speech together, it's constructing those sounds in such a way that we're saying two things at once. One is forward from the conscious, and the other one is in reverse from the unconscious. And what we were hearing in these old satanic messages in rock and roll was the very first sign of this dual communication process.
Wow.
A natural function of language. And yeah, you find satanic messages on heavy metal. I mean, there's no big surprise about that. Most of them are into Satanism anyway.
That's right, yeah.
But there's a whole lot of other messages in music that aren't satanic, like, this is back when I first started researching this, because I was going for the satanic theory, but then I started hearing all these other messages like they weren't satanic. For example, here's one on the Creedence Clearwater Revival, which is just a straightforward message. It Here we go.
It was down in Louisiana, just about a mile from Texarkana, in them old cotton fields back home.
This one says backwards, I believe in my cool woman.
I believe in that cool woman.
Wow.
I believe in that cool woman.
So nothing satanic about that, is there?
Right. Boston, I remember hearing the group Boston had the similar messages if they were played backwards. Wasn't the Army involved in that specific division of putting out music with subliminal messages?
Right, yeah, well, subliminal messages, of course, are different from reverse speech. Subliminal messages are technically engineered. And, yeah, the Army was involved in doing a lot of experiment with subliminal messages.
Yes.
And, a lot of shopping centres, for example, having subliminal messages in their music. Do not steal with those type of messages hidden in background. But see, that's different from reverse speech. Subliminal messages of backward masking are intentionally engineered. Reverse speech is separate again. That's a natural function of language.
That's right. That's someone speaking and kind of like exposing their own thoughts without unknowingly.
Right. Unknowingly, sure. No one knows we're doing it. Well, once the world wakes up to the existence of this, but people like Prince Andrew will never go public again.
So you got any more on him?
Oh, Prince Andrew, yeah, sure. Let's
have him.
Yeah, he's been a naughty boy, Prince Andrew. So, and like I said, he's been asked to clear out his office. Yeah, here's another one.
Because I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
And here he says, and I make it up.
What's made up? Epstein being killed or his whole...
What he's saying for is I'm making up this whole story. He's making it all up. I have no recollection. Of course he has recollection. He's making it up. He's lying is what that is.
Right.
So, and, here's another one talking about meeting with Jeffrey Epstein.
You've been convicted. It would be incompatible for me to be seen with you. Unfortunately, somebody was standing around with a camera at the time and got a photograph of us. It's one of the very few photographs there are of us, but that was the case.
And this one says, saw Jeffrey Fear.
Saw Jeffrey Fear.
Oh, yeah.
Saw Jeffrey Fear.
So,
Jeffrey Fear.
yeah, well, he was afraid. Of course he was. He was facing, he was in deep trouble. So these phrases are occurring about once every 10 or 15 seconds of speech. If you run speech backward, you'll hear these very clear messages amongst the gibberish, and they're a reflection of what we are thinking both consciously as well as unconsciously. It's not just conscious thought, it's tapping into the deep unconscious mind as well.
And this whole Jeffrey Epstein saga, I mean, it engulfs so many people. So many people.
Yeah.
Even our own president, President Donald Trump, somehow is embroiled in this Epstein controversy. Do you have any reversals on him?
Donald Trump, I got quite a few on Donald Trump. Let me see if I can pull some up for you. Donald Trump actually comes across as fairly congruent. There's a couple of occasions where he's not, but let's play. Here's some of him on the campaign trail, being very congruent. Here we go.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't notice Swedish people knocking down the World Trade Center. I came out very strongly against the mosque being built virtually.
And so did I. You and I were on the same page. Okay.
And here he says, America now.
So
he wants America. America now. That was consistent with this whole campaign scene. America first. Okay. So America now. Here's this one is a really good one, showing how forward and reverse relate to each other. And he's talking about Hillary Clinton's emails.
When he gave up that email thing, he said, "Here, Hillary." And you know what? That was orchestrated by the Democratic Party.
So talking about Hillary's emails, and backwards he says, Hillary, let's see this email.
Hillary, this email.
Hillary, this email. You know, they're nice and clear, and here's the whole lot backwards.
You don't get out from the job, there's nobody that Hillary.
You know how that just jumps in out of the gibberish there? So,
yeah, it's clear as day. He's almost speaking the way, the same thing he's saying without it being reversed is almost the same reversed.
Exactly right. It's what we call the principle of complementarity. The forwards and the reverse relate to each other.
Wow.
Here, let me play you one where it says the same thing backwards as it does forward.
Oh,
This is a house fire that I had many years ago, and my secretary runs the office and says, "David, the house is on fire."
The sense of what?
Yes? What?
Something burning.
And backwards she says almost the same thing. The house is on fire. Our house is on fire. It is backwards. And again.
Wow.
Here's the forwards.
What? Something burning.
And here's the backwards. How's that for an amazing example?
Oh my goodness. Whose house was on fire?
My house was on fire.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was me. That's why I got the recording.
You know, was it a record player that something was playing backwards and then it just burst into fire? What happened?
No, it was actually arson. It was when I was very big in America in the 1990s. I was big on Coast to Coast and a lot of radio shows, and it was arson. We had a phone call the day beforehand telling us, make sure we're home. We've got a message to deliver to you, and it was a petrol bomb thrown through the back window of the office.
Oh my God! So you have been attacked. I mean, they have tried to attempt on your lives for doing this.
I've got a whole history of being attacked, and look, it's a very threatening technology. I mean, it essentially means the human mind is no longer private.
Right.
Whatever you're thinking or feeling has the potential to appear backwards in your speech, and that's a pretty threatening concept to many people, you know.
Right. Oh, no, it could be used in court as an admission maybe one day.
Oh, sure. Well, you know, I mean, I've used it. I've worked for the police and the FBI on a few cases. Here we have Scott Peterson, who's currently sitting on death row, and reporter says, this is before the trial, reporter says, "Did you murder your wife?"
Did you murder your wife? No.
No, I did not. But backwards, he says, "Neck, I hit hard."
Neck, I hit hard.
Oh, my God.
Neck, I hit hard.
So he remembers back to the crime scene in his mind, and he hit her hard on the back of the neck. Incidentally, when her body was discovered, it was decapitated, and they never found the head. So as he's denying the crime in his forward speech, he's flashing back and remembering how he did it.
That is spine tingling. That is chilling stuff.
Yeah. It's a pretty awesome technology, and once it's accepted, it's going to make a huge difference. It really will.
Wow. So how did you get started in this? I know you said you started off with the rock and roll records and all that, but really, what piqued your interest?
Well, I started with rock and roll. I was a youth worker by profession. Of course, I now do reverse speech full time. Been doing it full time for 30 years now. But previous to that, I was a youth worker, and I was running a halfway house for street kids, and they were telling me about satanic messages in rock and roll, and I'm an electronics buff. I'm a ham radio operator, so I went home that night and rewired a tape player and started playing these recordings backwards. And I started hearing these phrases and going, "Oh my God, what's that?" And I get friends over and I'd play it to them and they could hear it. And I'm thinking, well, this is really weird. And then I accidentally stumbled across it in speech a couple of years later. Here, let me play the first example I found on speech. This is Neil Armstrong walking on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Backwards, he says, man will spacewalk.
Man will spacewalk. Man will spacewalk.
I go, oh my God. That was the first example I heard on speech.
A reverse lie or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. You can draw your own conclusion as to what you think that means. And then once I just found it in speech, it set me in a whole new direction altogether.
Right.
And then I wrote my theory in April of '87. I got a lot of TV coverage in Australia.
Oh, sorry about that. TV coverage in Australia. You know, I found a clip of the Led Zeppelin. You want me to play that?
Yeah, sure.
It's
sure.
I believe it's Stairway to Heaven.
That's right.
I should have known that.
Yep.
So. I mean, you can clearly hear him saying Satan backwards.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Here's to
Satan.
my sweet Satan, the one little path would make me sad, whose power is, I think the last word is fake. Some people say it's Satan. So
Right.
Here, play it again.
Okay.
Here's to my sweet Satan, the one little path would make me sad.
Power Satan. Suffer, sad Satan, and he clearly says the 666.
Yep, that's right. Yep, there you go. Well, that was the song that set it all off. That was like if there was a top 40 of Backwood Messages songs, Stairway to Heaven will be up the top. I think every teenager in the world back in the day played Stairway to Heaven backwards.
Oh man, that solo is something else in that song. I wish I could play it on guitar. Like,
yeah, it's a great.
I gotta
piece.
learn it, but it's just terrifying how people have no idea they're singing their favorite songs and they're praising these deities, these evil demons.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's reverse speech. It occurs once every 10 or 15 seconds of speech. It communicates what we're thinking and feeling at the time of speaking. It's another form of communication, another form of language.
Wow.
And that's what I'm presenting.
Right, because words themselves, I mean, are very, very powerful. I mean, if you add an S in front of the word, it becomes sword. So, I mean, there's something to words. So you figure your speech in itself is something magical. What you're doing backwards, forwards. Do you have any more Donald Trump or any other politicians may damn themselves with what they say?
Let me play you a funny one on Hillary Clinton.
Here's
Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail.
And you know what? It also matters when he makes fun of people with disabilities. Calls women pigs.
And this one says, and I'll scam you.
And I'll scam you.
Oh, man.
And I'll scam you.
What can I say? There it is, as clear as day.
Oh, my goodness. Play that for the libtards. See, it still won't go through their heads that she's there to scam you.
That's right. Oh, yeah. She had very negative traversals. One of the reasons why she lost the election. And Trump had very positive reversals. Okay?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a sprocket. I mean, for as old as he is, his old age, he moves around, walks around like he's like in his 30s, his late 30s or something. So I mean, that's positive in itself. So you figure whatever he's going to say is going to reflect that.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, I agree. Yep. Yeah. So Trump comes off pretty well in reverse. Here's an incongruent reversal on Trump where he's been caught in a lie. He's talking about Mexico paying for the wall.
What's the difference? I want to get the wall started. I don't want to wait a year and a half until I make my deal with Mexico. So, and we probably will have a deal sooner than that. And by the way, Mexico has been so nice.
And this one says they will not deal with us.
We will not deal with us.
And they haven't. And they haven't. So there you go.
So he's telling the truth. He's an actual politician that tells the truth, but in reverse.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Has he ever put his foot like just right in his mouth? I mean, is there something that you've caught that he's ever said in reverse that's just like just makes him look like a real heel?
Ooh, I don't know whether I've got anything at the top of my head. Oh, actually, I do have Trump saying I could scam you. Here we go.
To get jobs back instead of having them going to India and having them go, Mexico.
And I could scam you.
I could scam you.
There you go.
I could scam you.
There you go.
And he is on that wall. I mean, I've heard you and Jeff Rentz talk about it, and he's only built about less than 2 miles of wall. Yet Fox News is on TV saying that there's 75 miles of wall and that there's this. I don't see it. I'm out here by Arizona. I don't see any wall being built yet.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yep. Well, they will not deal with us, and I can scam you. There you go.
That's good stuff. Good stuff, David. So, what's your website? And let our listeners know where they could find you. And thank you for being on this segment with me. It's been great. And we got to have you on again. Whenever there's a reversal that's just like mind blowing or something's going on, we got to have you back on to expose it.
Anytime. My website is reversespeech.com. Reversespeech.com.
Reversespeech.com. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on, Dave. And it was
my pleasure.
Some crazy reversals there. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. See you later, mate.
Bye-bye. That was David John Oates with a thrilling segment there. Reverse speech. It's fascinating. You better watch what you say because now they can play it backwards, and it's just as damning as saying it the regular way. Anyway, you've been listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. We'll be off till Friday, so same Bruce station, same Bruce dial. Mondays, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. You've been listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. You have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you on Friday. Thank you for tuning in. Sayonara.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Support MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, and shop with us over at Montalvo Store. Go to eBay.com and search in the advanced search. Type in Montalvo Store. Now support Montalvo Broadcasting Network. We have a wide array of books on conspiracy, apparel, and much more. Support your favorite radio station, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, by visiting Montalvo Store on eBay.com.
Tribal, primitive, rustic, Burning Man, punk rock, conceptual subculture for the edgiest, most cutting-edge designs of jewelry today. Go to Etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture, or one word, either by going to Google or search Etsy, ETSY.com, and type in one word, conceptual subculture. You will find the hottest designs using natural stones with wire wrap rings, rough, raw, genuine, semi-precious gemstone jewelry, solid sterling silver, copper, leather, organite, bracelets, pendants, chokers, men's copper cups with sterling accents, eco-friendly, repurposed, original, one-of-a-kind design earrings. Support MBN by going to Conceptual Subculture on Etsy. Go to Antique Obsessions for the hottest in jewelry, antiques, repurposed, solid sterling silver, one of a kind, handmade by Bruce and Jaja. Go to our Facebook, which is Antique Obsessions, or you can go to Etsy.com and go to Antique Obsessions, one word, or type it into your Google and find us there. Thanks.
The stylish and hippest clothing around. Go to Poshmark.com. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. At Anti-Culture. The coolest, hippest apparel on the internet. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. Bruce Montalvo.
Continues to spread conspiracy theories.
Penchant for promoting bogus conspiracies as though they were fact.
About his conspiracy theory.
This is CNN, a network of China Broadcasting System.
Bruce Montalvo is the only radio talk show host that's not controlled. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of the Bruce Montalvo Show with a very special guest. Joining me is Santos Bonacci. For over 30 years, Santos has been studying the ancient works, researching and compiling, translating texts to make it easier to understand astrotheology. I heard about him through a good friend of ours, Jordan Maxwell, and the information he has brought together in YouTube media platforms is amazing. He runs the Universal Truth School website, and he talks about syncretism. It is about the ancient legendary stories, myth, Bible, fairy tales, etc. And he's on to talk to us today. Hello, Santos. How are you?
Great, thanks, Bruce. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. I was made familiar of your work through Jordan Maxwell. He also covers a lot of similar things, but I think you dive a little bit deeper, into the whole, for me, the whole flat earth thing, which was a huge revelation for me, a couple of years back.
Yep, for sure. That is deeper. I would say, though, that my work is exhaustive and comprehensive in that everything is inclusive, and it's not specializing in any field in particular, but it's cross-disciplinary, and it's syncretism. Syncretism syncs up all fields of human knowledge. So for me, it's just easy. It's just what I do. And I simply can't understand how other people's minds cannot do it, because that's what I do. So I'm just doing what I do.
Right.
And it comes easy to me to integrate and to understand things from a perspective where I like to, everything I learn needs to have something familiar to liken it to. So that's how I learn languages, comparatively, by comparing.
Yes.
And by association. You always associate something new with what you already know, and you build like that.
That's right. Well, the whole flat earth thing for me was a revelation because, it's just such a big lie. And such a big government cover-up throughout these whole years. They don't want us to to know that there are extra lands out there. I mean, you have the term extraterrestrial, and most people think that's like some little green man or ET or whatever. But I mean, if like you said, people don't take the time. It's not their thing, you know. Some people and they don't take the time to look at the meaning of words, which is very important. Extra meaning extra, and terrestrial meaning Earth, and that's what the flat Earth just hit me right in the face. Everything that has to do with it, because I mean, it literally means extra lands, and you have these maps, ancient maps that depict extra lands. So to me, the whole flat Earth thing isn't about little green man or going to Mars, because you can't even go to Antarctica, right? But to me, it's the extra lands that they're not telling us about.
For sure. So Captain George Hubert Wilkins, a Tasmanian, in the 1930s discovered lands 5,000 miles beyond Antarctica. He was a colleague of Admiral Byrd, who also did expeditions in the northern and southern so-called hemispheres of the flat disk Earth. And they found many lands and many peoples beyond Antarctica. So this is not some kind of a ridiculous invention. This is fact. This is historical fact. Absolutely. And those details have been scrubbed out of history for convenience for the globalists who have no globe, but they certainly have a religion, which is global religion, global warming, global governance, global economy, and everything global without a globe. Right. So I call it the Santa Globe and the Santa Ball, and that's what I've been calling it ever since I realised that the Earth is a plane net. It's why they tell you it's a planet, because it's plane. It's a plane. That's right. And even in the scriptures in Revelation, it calls the earth platus in Greek. In the book of Revelation, it says and God came down to the platus, to the plateau of the earth. And in the Quran, it says that God stretched out the earth like a carpet, flat and extended. So you can't escape it from scripture. You can't escape it from scientific experiment. All the experiments ever conducted prove that the earth is stationary and a horizontal plane, period. Not one experiment except for hocus pocus, honky shonky wonky, dodgy bodgy, bogus pseudoscience that the world follows, you know, your Einsteins and your Newtons and your Jesuits. Right, and Einstein couldn't even prove that the Earth was a globe. I mean, he tried to debunk, from what I read, he tried to debunk flat Earth theory, and he couldn't. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I definitely know that on his deathbed virtually, he said, I've come to know and learn that no scientific experiment has ever proven the movement of the Earth. So why also would pilots in the military, in the Air Force, the Navy, and all of the NASA, all of them, have all of their manuals for teaching pilots how to fly based on a, quote, stationary flat Earth, unquote, that's in right. All of their manuals. That would be tantamount to, I mean, people think that they do that, and then once they get their ticket to fly, that then they're told, oh, well, look, all you do now is you just, switch over to a moving ball, and everything you've learnt will transpose to a new model. That would be like putting square training wheels on your child's bike, and then when they've learned how to, ride their bike with square wheels, and then you put real wheels on and say, you're going to be using circular wheels because that's the way bikes go. It's ridiculous. You can't train someone with one system, then give them their accreditations and their license to fly and fly many, many souls in their vehicles, where people trust their lives with these pilots, and then just tell them just before they get to to work in the industry, just disregard everything you've learned with the stationary flat Earth rubbish. That's we just do that just to trick you, and just remember it's a ball. It just doesn't work. Nothing in the globe model has got any sense at all, and it's totally ridiculous. And I'm glad it's so ridiculous and that people believe it so much, because it separates me from the foolish, which the scriptures say. You must be wiser than the fools that walk on this plane. So it just puts us an edge above, and we just sit back and we'll have the last laugh. It truly does, Santos. I mean, the truth is really like a plain truth, like right there in your face. I mean, when you're flying, like you said, you're on a plane, I researched the nose should be dipping like every 30 minutes. I don't know the math quite well, but he should be making a dip to account for that supposed curve, right? But he doesn't. And then the whole thing about gravity, the theory of relativity, last time I checked, the theory isn't a fact. So, of course, when is it going to be upgraded? It should be upgraded, shouldn't it, to a fact? Gravity, the globe, the Copernican theory of the globe, evolution theory, Big Bang theory, all of these, gravity theory, these are all theories. Yes. That's it. They're just theories. So why are we investing all of our intelligent belief system, which determines how we live our life and how happy we will be, on theories? I'd rather know the facts. It's truly unbelievable. I mean, if you want facts, I've conducted an experiment. Many have. I took a level with me on a plane, and almost throughout the whole flight, the level was fully level. It was right there. I mean, water also, it's level. So that's a fact. All water is level. That's right, and it's interesting that you can fly as high as that aeroplane will take you, 45,000 feet, 50,000 feet, and guess what? The horizon to your left, out the left window, and the right window are always in the middle of the window, right, at your eye level. So when you first landed, when you first took off, and you were only like about 5,000 feet up, you could clearly see the same horizon at the same level in your window. How does it come up and up and up and up every 5,000 feet till you hit 60,000 feet, and it's the horizon to your left and to your right is still there at your eye level? That's right. How can that be if it's a Santa ball? It's just not going to work. No, and the sun, the NASA, the liars at NASA will tell you it's millions and 93 million miles away or whatever they want to say. But it's literally right there. It looks like a hologram almost, just there. Like you could almost fly through it or even touch it. Yeah, you can. In fact, you can. You put your palms out to the sun. Uh-huh. Always put your palms out to the sun like Akhenaten taught, and you'll bring the sun into your palms. It's palpable. Oh wow! Yeah, you can. You're in the field of the sun. This is the thing. The sun is the son of God, because it's not your son. That's right. So it's God's son, and when the Bible speaks of the Son of God or God's Son, that's what it's talking about. That's right. The Son. So if you want to touch it, just put your palms out and touch it. It's right there. It's not billions of gazillions of flying years away, 93 million miles and all of this hocus pocus, demonic, pure and utter BS. That's right. It's right there, and it's actually in your mind if you want to go a step further. I won't go there for now because we've only got the half hour, but everything is in your mind, So the sun is the Lamb of God, or the lamp of God, which is an anagram for palm, hence why you put your palms out to the sun. And lamb, in Revelation 21, it says, "The city of God shall not need a sun, for the Lamb shall be its lamp." Lamb and lamp are the same word. In Greek, lambos means lamp, which gave us the English word lamp. Right. And so the Lamb of God, you see, a lamb is white. It's got white wool, and that's because it's a lamp, and that's what it is. It's Ram, right ascension of meridian, riding the ecliptic, right ascending. You see, when you look at the sun in the morning, it rises and it right ascends. It doesn't left ascend unless you're in the southern hemisphere. It right ascends. It goes to the right, from east to west, and then it sets in the west. And you can see that right action of the sun. That's why the sun is called the right action. And Jesus Christ, with his 12 disciples, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc., is always giving us the right example and how to be in right, correct action to be saved.
Wow. And that's really the metaphor right there for Jesus, that he is the sun, because the sun every morning walks on the water. How'd they come up with that story, right? Because they look at the sun every morning.
That's right, and it does walk on the water. You can see the shadow, or rather the reflection of the sun, and of course, if it was a ball, you would never see any reflection of the sun. Period.
You wouldn't even see it at all. It would totally engulf our world. I mean, it would just be a bright yellow, huge, just sky. It's just so stupid.
Oh, totally and utterly stupid, but it suits humanity because they are stupid. You know, they
unfortunately, yes, I have to agree. I mean, how does syncretism and astrology connect to geocentrism? The geocentric model, much of what we've been talking about.
Well, it's geocentric, period. Astrologers know that. That's why they have a heliocentric version of your chart.
The lie, yeah.
Yeah, well, you'll see in astrology websites that they give you an alternative, which is called heliocentric. Why would they give you an alternative based on the Copernican model if they are already using the Ptolemaic ancient true model, which is geocentric and stationary Earth? And they should know that the sun rotates over the Earth, not around the Earth. But they don't, because they're seducers. They've been seduced. Astrologers, that's why the astrologers are condemned in the Bible. Astrology is not.
That's right.
Like the prophets and the lawyers. Woe to you lawyers. The Bible's not condemning law. Woe to you astrologers. It's not condemning astrology. Woe to you prophets. He's not condemning his word, because the prophets are distorting it. Woe to you judges, for you deceive the widows and the widows' sons out of their inheritance. He's not condemning judgment and righteous judgment and the law. They're all condemned. God's people are condemned. God's prophets are condemned. The priests are condemned. The judges are condemned. The astrologers are condemned. You see, but the churchgoer will take it out of context and he'll just isolate the astrologer and say, oh, look at that, God hates astrology because it says, woe to those who bow down to the sun and who follow the moon, etc. Yeah, woe to them because they're not doing it properly. Woe to them because they're doing it in vain. You know, they call themselves astrologers and they think the moon is a rock. And yet Ptolemy said, clearly, he said that the moon, the sun, the stars, the planets, they are all luminous, and in fact he said entirely luminous.
Right.
So how does
the Bible calls the moon the lesser light?
Yeah, lights, exactly. They are lights. And so when you look at the moon, a new moon especially, you'll see the ring of the moon, and you'll see that it's a hole. It's a holy hole. They are all wormholes. The stars, the planets, they are all holes, wormholes, portals in and out of this cellular toroidal field cosmos that we live in. And you can see clearly that the moon is, well, it's not spherical, but it is convex. You see that when the new moon begins, every day it adds 7 degrees of light till it gets full. So it adds 7% each day, right? And then you can follow it. And you'll see how it eventually it covers the whole moon, the light. And it's like a membrane. It's a plasma, convex plasma membrane covering that hole. You can clearly see the ring of the moon at the new moon. And the first light of the new moon, the very first light, you'd look at the moon, you can absolutely see a hole. It's a hole. It's empty. And then the light that goes above that hole, that's just like it's like a membrane or something to me. I'm not sure whether it is or not, but it's definitely plasma, and it's definitely convex, which gives people the trick in the eye that it is a ball. But it's not a ball. It's a ring. You can see it's a ring, and it's pitch black. And it's hollow. Hollow comes from holy, comes from hole, wormhole.
That's right.
And the genius Pierluigi Gina, colleague of Marconi, that's what he said. He said the stars are holes in the sky. He studied them all his life, and he came to that conclusion. And he also says that the Earth is stationary and proves it. I've made a few videos on Pierluigi Gina on my channel, and they're called Stationary Earth is Scientific. And you'll see me speaking about Pierluigi, and he's showing an interviewer how to prove it in his laboratory with strobe lights connected to two antennas. One antenna is connected to the sun's rotating field above the Earth, and the other is deep in the ground, filled with aluminium powder at the same height as the above ground one, and it measures the Earth's energy. And he says, when you see movement in the strobe lights, when you see like the appearance or the illusion of movement around my room here in the laboratory, that's because the solar energy is rotating, the Earth is stationary. This is how you can prove it. So we have a modern test. We don't need to go to the Michelson-Morley, Michelson-Gale, Sagnac interferometer experiments, which were not filmed, which anyone can sit there and laugh at and claim to debunk and criticize and attack. We now have Pierluigi Gina on my channel, on my video, Earth is stationary, and you can see him in the laboratory proving that the Earth is stationary by experiment, as have done every other scientist who have gone out of their way to try to prove movement of the Earth. They've failed. The Earth does not move. A sod of dirt cannot fly at Mach 88 around the sun. It can't do that. You can't get a sod of dirt with, some oceans of soft water and soft atmosphere and butterflies and birdies flying around in the atmosphere. You can't thrust that at Mach 88 times faster than the speed of sound, and it not fragment into little bitty, particleized, dusty little bits. Right. It won't happen unless it's been stuck. All the atoms of the Earth have been stuck together with superglue. Perhaps then, maybe. I think that I don't recall one in history supergluing the Earth together. It's a whole bunch of sand. Sand flying at Mach 88. I think you have to be either totally and utterly stupid or willfully, satanically ignorant to even suggest that the Earth is moving at 1 second per mile. And Pierluigi Gina, he laughs at the people who think the Earth is moving. He said in the interview there, he says, there's a scientist down in southern Italy called Cecchini who has invented a seismic machine that can capture 1/10 of a millimeter of the movement of the Earth, and the moment the Earth moves 1/10 of a millimeter, which is about the width of a bee's genitalia, the bells go ding, 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 and warn you that the Earth has moved 1/10 of a millimeter, the width of a bee's dick. So, I'm wondering how people think that we're hurtling through space at Mach 88 and the Earth is rotating at Mach 0.135, and then there's two other movements, the sun is hurtling around the center of the Milky Way galaxy at Mach gazillion, and then that the galaxy is hurtling through space at Mach who knows what the hell. I think it's 670 million miles an hour. I tell you what, people are stupid. They are absolutely.
Oh man, all the clues are right in their face. I mean, all the subtle hints in Hollywood. I mean, with the Marvel movies, coming out, they have Spider-Man and Iron Man chasing an alien right out through the firmament, through the Milky Way. So, because how they say that's like the opening, probably one of the only openings there. And you were talking about plasma, that the glue that holds everything together, and I think it's this plasma. And as above, so below, right? I mean, the astronauts wear like a scuba suit. So I mean, there's water up there, right? Down there, there's water. Up there, there's water. Am I right?
It's all hydrogen. Everything is hydrogen, because hydrogen is the only atom that is what I would call a true spiritual transcendental element. Everything from number 2, helium, is where Helios rules, which is the kingdom of hell. Helium is another way of saying hell, and all the elements below helium is the land of hell. Hydrogen is the only element which is the number 1, the God element. And hydro, water, is how the Greeks, the Pythagoreans, etc., said that the earth everything was made through water, the element of water. You see?
Wow. Hey, Helios is also a weapon. I mean, it could be a lot of these forest fires we see in Australia and California. I mean, they're probably used by these type of directed energy weapons, like this Helios weapon, this laser weapon the Navy has. I mean, it's truly frightening, just the amount of power that they have now.
It is. They've always had it. They're just letting us know about it now. That's all. But it's always been there. Laser technology, magnetic pulse weapons have always been there. It's just that they're allowing us to know it now, and that's it. Yeah. Now, the weight of hydrogen is 1.008. There you go. That's the number of who? Krishna. It's the number of the rosary beads.
Wow.
The chanting beads. It's the number of Uranus's 12 times 84 year cycle. Comes to 1008. It's a processional harmonic number. 108 is that golden number, and there it is, hydrogen. It's telling you it's Krishna. It's telling you it's God. It's the Lord. It's everything. It's the number 1 element that does not have the same heavy constituents as helium and everything else. That they all have this problem of neutron, electron, and proton, whereas hydrogen does not. It's simple.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing, Santos. Now we talked about what the stars really are. I mean, they're frequencies, right? Aren't they frequencies? And I mean, we're all a frequency. I mean, you do something in your Universal Truth School where you engage in centric music, and that's pretty much these tones that are healing tones, and then you have the dark frequencies of music. We're all kind of like a walking composition, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. It's all frequencies, and hydrogen is the only frequency that doesn't have a material aspect to it, because the neutron is the plane of inertia of the torus field. That's what it is. So it's a torus field that does not have, as we know it, a plane of inertia, which seems quite incredible. But it is a frequency. It's a very, very high frequency. It's 1 proton and 1 electron, supposedly. So every other element has a neutron, and that is the material part of nature and creation. Number 1 is the monad, hydrogen. Number 2 is the dyad, helium and everything below that. And when you come to carbon, which is just another way of saying good flesh, car is carnal and bon is good. So the number of it is 666.
Wow.
So carbon, meaning good flesh or good material, good matter, is the God, so-called the God particle, which has, supposedly 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. So those numbers, it's all about those numbers, and we can see how special hydrogen is.
That's amazing. Well, as we wind down, Santos, we're talking about holy and holes. Now, the holiest of holes, I think, isn't a temple. It's the polar vortex. And I saw something in Forbes that was saying that it has officially shifted. Now, that's a lot of us that are in the know, we that know these type of things that you and I are discussing. We may have heard that there could be some type of polar shift or some type of event towards 2020 that was probably anticipated 2012, but it didn't happen. Some type of a cosmic realignment having to do with the polar vortex, that big hole up there. I don't know if you've seen the footage. The Russians supposedly got, well, that green aura from the Aurora Borealis is just emanating out of that big scary hole. What are your thoughts on that?
They're wormholes. They're just...
So that's a wormhole here on Earth. A giant wormhole.
I would say so. I mean, I haven't really looked into it, but that's all there. There's only 2 things going on, counter space and space. When you understand that all things come from counter space and occupy and create space, then you understand how nature works. All information is in counter space, just like your computer in the hard drive. Mm-hmm. A full hard drive does not weigh more than an empty hard drive. They have the same weight. There's no, even though it's full of 32 billion gigabytes of whatever of information, it still doesn't weigh any more physically, because the information, ones and zeros, is counterspatial. It doesn't occupy space. If it did, you could just open the computer, as Zoolander tried to do, and to find the file where all your pictures are, and you pull out the little pictures, and there they are physically in space. You can't do that. You can't put those ones and zeros in your finger and in your hand and calculate the mass of them, because they don't contain any mass. They're just energy, a frequency in counter space. And if you want to get that counter space from the file in your computer to put it onto your screen, you have to ask the RAM, random access memory, to go in and find it and materialize it on your screen. Well, that's how your body works. It comes from counter space, from the causal plane, and then your physical body is like the computer screen. When you die, you turn the computer off, it goes back, you don't disappear. You can reboot your computer the next day or have a resurrection, and the information is still there.
Wow.
It hasn't been corrupted by some kind of a virus. So that's why you have to keep your soul protected, so you don't get viruses in your soul and holes in your holy aura, Torah field, your aura surrounding you. It's like a force field protecting you. But if you have weaknesses, you're lustful and you've got addictions, you're going to have holes all over, and demonic entities are going to absolutely, inhabit your field.
Oh my goodness, that is just mind blowing. Thank you so much, Santos. We've come to the end of the broadcast. They can follow you, my audience and anybody listening can follow you on YouTube, right, Mr. Astrotheology, and they could visit your website, universaltruthschool.com. Anywhere else they can help you out at, or find your library of information you've given us today?
Yeah, at my YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology. Get on there, and all the information you're looking for, it's all there. Everything's there.
Wow, an amazing conversation. I hope to have many more with you. We got to have you back on.
For sure, I'll be there.
Thank you, Santos. You take care and have fun out there in sunny Miami, Florida. Very nice, right? Very nice this time of year.
Yeah, I'm on the beach in Hallandale Beach near Hollywood. It's glorious.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Been there, like, I've got a lot of family there. Anyway, thank you, Santos. You take it easy. We'll talk to you soon.
For sure, brother.
Thank you. That was Santos Bonacci, Mr. Astrotheology. And what a show, folks. It's all in the stars. We're a human computer, and we're living on an Earth plane. And there's nothing you can say to change my mind about that. Anyway, you've been listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show, very special episode with Santos Bonacci, December 3rd, 2019. And we will be back Monday, doing a live show. Expect to hear us rebroadcasting this episode on TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStreamLive.com, Fridays, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, Mondays, I believe with the time change here, it's 9 p.m. Mountain Time, or 9 p.m. Mountain Time, yes. So you've been listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. Take it easy. Sayonara.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network.
A close call for Israel's prime minister. I'm Debbie Handley, Fox News. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is rushed to a bomb shelter after rockets were fired.
One rocket has been fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. Updates are coming in that the Israelis are responding with airstrikes inside the Gaza Strip against factions there. Multiple militant training sites were hit with these strikes, we are told. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was rushed off the stage earlier to a bomb shelter for the second time this year after the rocket targeted the city of Ashkelon that he was campaigning in. Netanyahu told attendees the last person to shoot at him is now, quote, gone. Netanyahu has vowed to respond. He was referring earlier to that person, Baha Abu al-Atta, a Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant who was assassinated by Israel last month following orders that he gave to fire rockets towards Israel and Netanyahu in September.
Fox's Trey Yingst. A woman and two children were found dead outside of a Northeastern University parking garage in Boston.
At this point, this is a death investigation. This investigation, of course, will be headed by District Attorney Rachel Rollins and with the collaborative of Boston Police, Transit Police, and Northeastern Police.
Boston Police Commissioner William Gross. Police responded just before 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday at the Renaissance Park Garage. President Trump wishes everyone a happy Christmas and New Year.
On behalf of the entire Trump family, we wish everyone a joyous and Merry Christmas and a very happy, happy New Year.
The president also thanked members of the military for serving the U.S. on Christmas Day. America's listening to Fox News.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Support MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, and shop with us over at Montalvo Store. Go to ebay.com and search in the advanced search. Type in Montalvo Store. Now support Montalvo Broadcasting Network. We have a wide array of books on conspiracy, apparel, and much more. Support your favorite radio station, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, by visiting Montalvo Store on ebay.com.
Tribal, primitive, rustic, Burning Man, punk rock, conceptual subculture for the edgiest, most cutting-edge designs of jewelry today. Go to Etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture, or one word, either by going to Google or search Etsy, ETSY.com, and type in one word, conceptual subculture. You will find the hottest designs using natural stones with wire wrap rings, rough, raw, genuine, semi-precious gemstone jewelry, solid sterling silver, copper, leather, orgonite, bracelets, pendants, chokers, men's copper cups with sterling accents, eco-friendly, repurposed, original, one-of-a-kind design earrings, Support MBN by going to Conceptual Subculture on Etsy. Go to Antique Obsessions for the hottest in jewelry, antiques, repurposed, solid sterling silver, one of a kind, handmade by Bruce and Jaja. Go to our Facebook, which is Antique Obsessions, or you can go to Etsy.com and go to Antique Obsessions, one word, or type it into your Google and find us there. Thanks.
The stylish and hippest clothing around. Go to Poshmark.com. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. At Anti-Culture. The coolest, hippest apparel on the internet. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. Bruce Montalvo.
Continues to spread conspiracy theories.
Penchant for promoting bogus conspiracies as though they were fact.
About his conspiracy theory.
This is CNN, a network of China broadcasting systems.
Bruce Montalvo is the only radio talk show host that's not controlled. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's October 12th, 2019. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. Joining me today is a comedian, filmmaker. He is a documentary filmmaker of End the Drug War 1 and 2. Kevin Booth joins me. Hello, Kevin. Thank you for being on the show.
Hey, Bruce. How's it going?
It's great. Thank you so much for being on. Tell us about what made you create the End the Drug War films. They're great. They're really something.
Well, I grew up in drug culture. My brother was 9 years older than me. In the 60s, we lived in Los Angeles, and having an older brother that played in rock bands, I was exposed to a lot of drugs at a young age. I think there's even a story where my brother gave me a hit of acid when I was 5 or 6 years old. It turned out not to be acid, but just to give it a taste. He wasn't a bad person. He had schizophrenia and his own problems, his own demons to fight. But in the end, I watched him basically die because of all the pharmaceuticals he was court ordered to take. At the same time, my mom and dad were highly functioning alcoholics, corporate martini lunch, private jet, the whole bit. And I watched them die from alcohol-related diseases, and I've had other friends die from tobacco-related diseases.
Right.
And then at the same time, I had other friends who then went to prison camps for growing marijuana. And I was watching a lot of documentaries at the time, and I felt like no one had done one that encapsulated the entire drug war and all the different drugs all in one picture. And I knew when I set out on it, I was biting off a big chunk. I had no idea it was going to take me over 4 years to do.
Right.
But that's how I got started.
And you did a lot of investigative research and journalism. I mean, you went out to like the border and other places like that, right? Didn't you do some research? You went out there on scene?
Yeah. I mean, the movie's all over. There's been 2 American drug wars, and then there's been a How We'd Won the West. So I look at it like a trilogy of films. So in the first American drug war, which I still think is the best film, we go to inside the prison camp with Sheriff Joe Arpaio. I get inside prison with Tommy Chong, who was in prison at the time. I was only one of a couple other people to even get in to be able to interview him. Interesting side note there on the Tommy Chong deal, that his roommate, his cellmate, was a guy named Jordan Belford. Do you know who that was?
No, it doesn't ring a bell right now.
Well, Tommy told him that he should write down his story and write a book, because Tommy was working on a book, and his book ended up being called The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was Jordan Belford. It's a fascinating story. So, that's just a side note. But the main thing, the main thrust of American Drug War was the whole Freeway Ricky Ross investigation.
That's right.
And getting inside of that and putting together all the pieces to tie together the CIA selling crack cocaine in Los Angeles ghettos and ghettos all around the country to basically finance the war in Nicaragua.
I'm from L.A. too. I was born there, and I don't know anybody in the hood that has a plane to go fly to Colombia or wherever to pick up drugs. Bring them back to the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Ricky didn't even know he was working for the CIA until after he was in prison.
Wow.
He found, basically Gary Webb explained it to him after he was already in prison.
Yeah.
He just basically all he knew was this is a hell of an easy way to make a lot of money. That's all he knew, and he had the perfect supplier and the perfect buyers, and he just seemed to never get caught, and it just went on, and the millions rolled in, and so
the end of the game.
It was a little too good to be true.
Okay, well, how did you get started in comedy?
Well, I'm not a comedian. I produced a lot of comedy.
I see.
I grew up, my best friend in high school was a guy named Bill Hicks.
Right, I wanted to get to that because Bill Hicks is definitely one of my all-time favorite comedians. I mean, tell us about how you met Bill.
Let's see. He was in 9th grade and I was in 10th grade, and he was just this bizarre, lanky kid, him and his friend Dwight. And he would do all this crazy, funny shit. And one day we just got together and I said, "Why don't we start a rock band?" And because my older brother, we had instruments in my house. We always had drums and guitars and amplifiers. And my brother was actually in a mental hospital at the time. And so I said they all started coming over to my house. So we started a band called Stress. And at the time, none of us even knew how to play instruments. And then Bill suddenly decided to become really serious about being a guitar player, and he really put his mind to it. And went out, and his parents bought him this amazing Stratocaster. And
did he have a Gibson?
No,
he had a Gibson too, right?
Yeah. But at his first real guitar was a white Stratocaster that had belonged to Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh man!
And a Music Man amplifier, and it had that. That real kind of Jimi Hendrix big muff sound. That real.
So that's the kind of sound you guys were going for, kind of like a psychedelic kind of sound.
Yeah, our very first songs to cover, we covered "Hey Joe" and of course "Who Doesn't Play Foxy Lady" and all. So we did a lot of that, and we were also really into a young guitar player named Eric Johnson at the time, and Eric Johnson was this local guitar wizard that played at the local clubs constantly, and we'd go see him every night. This guy was, if you don't know who Eric Johnson was, he's still out there. I mean, he's won Grammys and he's huge, but he was this local virtuoso, and so he became, all the guys I hung out with were all these guitar players I hung out with at the time. Bill and then this other guy Brett Ballard from my high school. They all worshiped this guy, Eric Johnson, and idolized him. And so Bill and everybody were trying to be just like Eric Johnson for a long time. But at the same time, Bill was hilarious, and he was also – it wasn't just the class clown. I mean, plenty of people have friends that are funny or you can make people in class. But he was able to actually get up and perform jokes on a different level. And so at a very early age, as the story goes, I was able to get a driver's license when I was 14 because my family owned a ranch, and I was able to use that to get what's called a hardship license. It was some bullshit. I was able to pull at the DMV, telling them I had to take the cows to market or some bullshit. I don't even remember what it was, and it was okay. So I had a legal driver's license at age 14, never even taking driver's ed or anything.
Oh, that's cool.
And so suddenly I'm the guy driving
the cool guy
right to the comedy store. And so completely underage kids going to the nightclub downtown, and Bill was, he was a novelty at first. Just the fact that how young he was getting up there doing comedy was a novelty, but then he started killing and really it almost didn't matter that he was a kid. And so very quickly Bill caught on up there at the comedy workshop in Houston.
Wow. Amazing. If Bill were alive today, how do you think Bill would view today's PC world? I mean, back in the day, they had American Gladiators and Baywatch. Now they have iPhones. I mean, he would have a field day, right?
Yeah, I don't like to put words into dead people's mouths, but I think things have gotten even crazier than Bill could have imagined. He did die right before the internet. It makes me sad that Bill never got to see the internet. That always bums me out because it was such a game changer.
Definitely. It was right at the beginning of the internet. Yeah.
Things have just pretty much gone down the same trail as he imagined. And so really in a lot of ways, everything is probably just how he imagined it would end up being, but different in a different way, maybe.
So he's sitting on his little cloud up there in heaven, laughing it all up with George Carlin, probably.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think Bill though is off already. I don't. Sometimes when I dream about him or he visits me in dreams, he's off on new missions. He's not looking back.
Yeah, he was definitely that kind of guy. Tell us about doing mushrooms with Bill. I mean, you guys were driving, 14 years old, you said you were, and you guys were on shrooms driving. That sounds, I mean, did that happen for one?
No. We were actually pretty careful with the tripping. We learned early on to be careful with it. We maybe did a couple of stupid things in the beginning.
Yeah, we all did.
We ended up learning that to have a really good psychedelic experience, we would come out to the family ranch where we knew we were safe. And so you could just have a complete freak out and not even the police could touch you. So
right.
So that we learned that early on. We would have, because I remember one time taking acid with Bill at the very beginning, and we went to McDonald's, and it was a nightmare. In fact, I think he derived a joke from that experience where he would talk about, you always got this friend who wants to take acid and go to putt-putt golf, and Bill would say, like, I'm hanging on the edge of Venus or Pluto over here, and you want me to shoot a ball through a clown's mouth.
That's hilarious.
That actually came from taking acid and going to McDonald's where, the LSD's kicking in and we're sitting there looking at plastic clowns and shit.
Oh my God.
We got to get the hell out of here. We got to go find some trees and some grass.
Right. I remember the first time I did shrooms, our friend, he was kind of a midget and he had a hairpiece. So he turns into like a little pot-bellied pig in front of my eyes, and we're throwing little berries at him, just laughing for like an hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You kind of sound like Bill a little bit, It's just, I feel like I'm talking to Bill's brother or something. But some people didn't get Bill. All right, what do they know anyway? Right? They're probably a bunch of fucking zombies.
Well, but that's okay. What's bugged me actually more is when Bill was alive, all these people didn't get him, and then you really see it when you're close to a situation where all these people you knew over the years that thought Bill they never thought he was an idiot, but they thought he was, an arrogant asshole,
Well, that's because he knew all the facts, right?
But what I'm getting at is that the second he dies, suddenly he becomes a saint, and all these people who did not support him while he was alive jump behind it. But I guess that just happens to everybody. It's just one of the things. So, look, when you put out controversial material, that's the way it is. The Hicks fan base is a weird little niche. It's a very weird little niche. It's kind of it's like the old Woody Allen joke about I don't want to belong to a group that would have me as a member.
Right. But his jokes have real staying power. I mean, maggots crawling out of Barbara Bush's wrinkled, flaccid labia. The minute I heard that, I still want to squirt milk out of my nose. Yeah. Those maggots are probably in power today.
That's funny. Yeah. No, it's all held up pretty good. Yeah, I don't think he could have pictured how crazy things would get. I mean, Maybe if Bill were alive, he'd be kind of a Jon Stewart kind of guy, or maybe he'd be. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Right.
Maybe he would have disappeared and just become a writer or something, or maybe he'd be a hermit. I don't know.
Be an artist. He'd be somewhere painting. He'd be in the Grand Canyon painting a big bowl of fruit or something. Right?
Yeah. I think he maybe would have I think he maybe would have disappeared from society again. I'm not sure.
I don't blame him. I really don't. I mean, in your book, you write about Bill appearing to you in the back seat after you went to his funeral. I mean, did his ghost really appear to you?
Looking back 20 years, it's weird when people always ask me these type of questions. I mean, when it happened to me, it seemed as real as this moment of me talking to you on the phone. That's all I can say.
Right. Okay, well, you're also friends with one of my favorite radio show hosts. I mean, he's one of the reasons why I do what I do, Kevin, Alex Jones.
I see where this is going.
How good of a comic is Alex? He's pretty funny.
People get mad at me
because
do
stand up, huh?
Is as funny as Bill, but you look. I know Alex isn't funny, but if you got drunk, with
he
him,
is. I laughed so hard.
If you spent the night bar hopping with Alex, you would. I mean, he's a funny guy to be around, or he used to be, anyways. I haven't hung out with him in a long time.
Hey, what are you talking about? What about the gay frogs? That's still fucking funny.
Yeah, no, well, he's got a sense of humor. He definitely he's a very complex character, and sure, I've lost a lot of friends with my association with Alex, but such is life, right?
Especially in this age of censorship. You know what's crazy? Some people actually think Alex is Bill. Boy, I tell you, there are some wild videos out there on the internets. But I mean, Bill has literally become a conspiracy unto himself. He's become like Elvis or Bigfoot or something, right?
Oh yeah, well, no, I'm aware of that conspiracy because I'm part of it. And a lot of people are saying I'm the Svengali or something, the common thread of it, and then I've had other people accusing me of keeping. I've been accused of starting the conspiracy. I've been accused of keeping it alive because there are several times I go on Alex's show and we would joke about it.
Right.
And so certain people out there would get all like, Kevin's the one keeping this thing alive, where we were just laughing at the people making all these videos.
They're hilarious, aren't they? I mean, they focus on the chin and the teeth and the this and the that.
Look, at the end of the day, if you're going to put out controversial material like Bill did and or like Alex did, you're going to get completely insane people doing things like that. It just goes with the territory.
That's right.
You just got to enjoy the ride.
Like he said, right. What was it like working with Bill during the whole Waco ATF thing? Right, you were doing like camera work for him. I mean, you had like a mullet going on, and
everybody always remembers the mullet. Boy, how long do I have to wait till that thing comes back in? So I'm cool again.
Well, you would never know if you turn on a Pluto TV. They're still showing dudes with mullets all day. You'd think it's 1993 or something.
Damn! Look, I played in a rock band all the time. All I know is that haircut used to get me laid. I'm sorry, but
there you go. If it worked, it worked. You can't hate on it.
Back in the day. Well, Bill and I was coming out of being in a rock band. I was buying cameras, and I was wanting to be a filmmaker, and Bill was wanting to do this television show. And so we were developing different ideas to do a television show. At the same time, we were both news junkies, and we were both the kind of guys that would just watch CNN around the clock. Which really started with the war in Iraq, is when just the fascination with just watching nonstop news. And when the Waco thing broke on TV, it had everything we could dream of in a story. Plus, it was only like a 2-hour drive from our house. Wow. So, we hopped in the car with a bunch of cameras and headed up to Waco.
Right. You ever heard of this guy named Jeff Rentz on the radio?
No.
There's some crazy dude out there on the internet that said that Jeff Rentz is David Koresh.
Oh, wow.
He's still, you see, that these crazy people, they pop up with their conspiracies. Yeah?
Did he
you gotta feel about it.
Does he have the 7 seals? That's all I care about.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I know you're not a comic, but you definitely were around. I mean, the most legendary of comics, and you know what their world is all about. And maybe you did a little. Have you ever done a little bit of comedy?
No, just in my own work. I've never done stand up. I've done lectures where I try to be funny at the lectures, but no, I've never done stand up at a nightclub. No.
Right. Okay. Well, what do you think would be some tips that, like, I mean, just from watching like Bill and other top guys, I mean, what would be some tips for somebody that's starting out in comedy? What should they be aware of and try to do?
Well, just you got to find your own voice.
Okay.
You got to make yourself laugh. Or you have to be able to. I've learned in this business, whether you're making documentaries or music, that if you don't try to play to what you think other people's likes are. Try to do stuff that makes you happy. I try to make films that entertain me. Like I try to make a documentary that I would want to watch, even if I'm the only person on the face of the earth that would want to watch it. So that, and just don't get too caught up in dumb minutia and personal bullshit, and just try to get as much stage time as possible. And don't get caught up in cliques or people this, that, or worrying about what's popular, or like, oh, am I going to be like a pro-Trump guy or the anti-Trump guy, or I'm going to make the whole thing, or I'm going to be political, or I'm not going to be political, or just don't worry about it. Just get out there and get the stage time, and just put in the time and find your own voice. And look, it's a hard road. And the internet has made everything even harder now, because you don't have a million hits on YouTube, people won't even take you seriously anymore.
That's
right.
So it's so contrived and controlled.
It's not like it used to be, where it's like, oh, comedy, there's like these 20 guys at this one club, let's go to where comedy happens. Now it's basically what happened to rock and roll. I mean, it got blown out to where everybody and their brother had a rock band, and the next thing you know, saying you're in a rock band meant nothing, and that's kind of what happened to comedy. Everybody became a comedian, so it's a hard road. But if you believe in yourself, you got to believe in yourself and just keep going. And I don't know what else to say.
Right? No, that's great. That's really good advice. I
will say one thing I do see a lot. This will be my final note: is that when you get young guys, some girls too, that they're trying to be in the vein of being the next Kennison or the next Hicks or the next, thing like that. They will try to be controversial to the point where it's not even humor anymore. And they're just trying to be controversial or just trying to say things to
They miss the
people.
punchline. They miss the whole punchline, right? Yeah. They got to study the game.
Yeah, so like you can drop all the truth on me in the world, but if it ain't funny, it ain't comedy. Like if you want to be a philosopher or give me a lecture about life or this and that, I'll come meet you somewhere else. But don't fucking lecture me at the comedy club.
Yeah, get off the stage and grab a bongo, right?
Yeah, the difference is that Bill Hicks may have been lecturing you at times, but it was fucking funny, and that's why it worked.
Oh my God, he literally made me piss my pants a lot of times. The internet's making comedy easier, I think. I mean, it just looks like it's easier with all the memes. And people could look at a meme and then just play off a meme. I mean, I kind of do it on my radio show sometimes too. That's why I know. I mean, is the internet making comedy easier, or is it making it like it's just irrelevant because it's just like it's just so easy to tell a joke? Like for instance, all these Trump jokes, right? Like you said, are you going to be a Trump joke guy? I mean, there's so much. The anti-Trump comedy is like not even funny. I don't even classify it as comedy. They're terrible. But some of the pro-Trump comedy, I mean, it's kind of easy with the memes. I see it. It's like Elizabeth Warren. She's walking into a restaurant, right? And Trump's the waiter. He's like, oh, well, I can't take your reservation. You know, you don't have a reservation because he's an Indian, right? I mean, so many easy kind of jokes they throw out on the internet now.
Yeah, but that's different than the next Kevin Hart or the next,
right?
You know, the next, Dave Chappelle. And, when I watch the latest Dave Chappelle one on Netflix, I don't know whether you like him or I like him a lot.
He was great. I loved him. Half Baked, amazing stuff.
But I mean, the very newest things. Have you seen the very newest ones on Netflix?
I haven't seen his new style. I know it's very, pissed off the left. Supposedly it's controversial. I mean, he made fun of a tranny or something. That's the thing. You can't even say certain things now. Like if Bill, were around, he'd say, that in today's day and age, you can't tell a man from a woman or a woman from a man. What the hell's going on? I mean, they'd crucify him.
Yeah. So I think. Dave Chappelle is kind of, I feel, graduated to being a grandmaster, even above, Yeah. So, there's a million people out there being funny, but, if you want to make a living as a comedian and have that be your career, and be remembered as a comedian, that's a whole other thing besides just cracking people up on the internet.
Right.
So, we'll see. I think hopefully there's always going to be a market still for live shows and not just have everything be on your cell phone. God help us.
Oh my goodness. But comics also battle a lot of depression, being like how you just said, there's so much competition now. Let's say I'm a comic, I'm playing a small club downtown, and for a lack of a better name, I'll just throw out Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's there. I don't know he's there. He's sitting in a fake mustache. He's wearing a hat. And he's there stealing my jokes. I mean, what could I do, as a comic today to protect myself, my intellectual property? I mean, the theft happens even in comedy.
It's there's nothing you can do other than try to become more famous than the person stealing your shit. Obviously, I worked with Joe back a long time ago. Actually,
I love Joe. He's great.
Yeah, I'm the one who I introduced Joe and Alex Jones together, who's still back then Alex referred to him as just one of my degenerate friends, and I was like, oh, you don't like this guy, it was funny introducing those two. I knew they would hit it off and do stuff, but I guess you could look at what Joe did with that whole Carlos Mencia thing and called him out.
Right.
There's different ways, but I don't know. I guess if you're really the funny one that's really doing the stuff, you're going to have to just persevere until it becomes known that that's you and your voice. And don't get too caught up. Look, I've been ripped off. I've been making a living in show business for over 30 years. And if I became embittered over every time I was ripped off and saw someone profiting from my ideas or my work, then I would have never moved on. I've seen other people in this business who got so hung up on being mistreated or screwed, and it destroyed them. And so if someone steals your stuff, you got to go, well, I must be pretty fucking good, and just keep going.
You just persevere. Kevin, what are some of your plans for the future? What are some new movies, new documentaries you're working on?
Well, I just released this crazy, bizarre film called Shadows of Sophia. Hopefully it'll be my first and last ever foreign film. It's a crazy situation because in the movie, I'm looking for how Russia, the corruption from Russia affects another country, because there's all this talk about Russian corruption in America. Let's go look at some real Russian corruption. So we go to this country, Bulgaria, where it's just completely run by the mafia. Yeah. And, it was a 4-year journey into hell.
That sounds dangerous, man.
Yeah, no, we had armed bodyguards around us the whole time we were there. And so what's crazy, though, about this story is that, so in the movie, the villain is this gangster named Delane Pevsky, who's also, he's a member of parliament. He's part of the government. As the story goes, that when communism fell in 1989, the KGB left the mafia behind, and today that mafia is the government. Makes sense. Even though it's a NATO country. And so this guy and his mafia organization, they own all of the country's media. Well, since the movie came out, his media has been putting out all these crazy stories about the movie and me. And it's just been the weirdest experience of my life to live through, having to going to like some big newspaper in some Eastern European country that's all in this other language, and kind of having to and seeing my picture on there, and then having to cut and paste it into Google Translator, and like, what the fuck is going on?
And they're talking all this shit about you.
Yeah, what are they talking about?
Oh,
me?
man.
And it's been very, very surrealistic chapter of my life. So that's what I'm finishing up now. And if you get a Amazon Prime, it just started, I think, 2 days ago, where if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can watch it for free now on Amazon Prime. Just anybody out there.
Right.
Shadows of Sophia. And see, I'm working on another drug thing, another drug series with Sean Stone, son of Oliver. And that's another project. I'm working on a project about a big cult. I can't go into details because this one thing when you do investigative work, you keep it on the down low.
That's right.
Until the movie's coming out. I've also been a part of working on a company to become a publicly traded cannabis company, although it's already diversifying, so I'm definitely getting into the cannabis business. And most near and dear to me is that on the ranch where Bill used to trip all the time here in Fredericksburg, Texas, a huge energy company called Kinder Morgan is planning on putting a 42-inch high-pressure gas line, which would be the second biggest pipeline in America, almost as big as the Alaskan pipeline, coming practically, a couple thousand feet away from the site where Bill had all his UFO experiences.
Oh, wow.
And I'm heavily involved in that. I mean, we've got multiple lawsuits and hearings. I'm a commissioner. We're shooting a documentary. Just yesterday, the oil company, basically what happens is the oil company comes in and they use this thing called eminent domain. Eminent domain allows a private corporation to just take your land. They can just, you think you own your land in America because you pay your property taxes or you don't have a lien anymore? That's not true.
Yeah.
A company they can just take your land away using this thing called eminent domain.
Oh, yeah. It's like what happened at Bundy Ranch. I mean, the Federal Reserve pretty much they own they trade the dirt underneath your house is traded on the stock market. I mean, the Chinese pretty much own it. You don't own anything.
It's crazy, but so if you refuse to allow them on there, if you just refuse to play ball, they can actually get a restraining order.
Wow.
To have you removed from your own land, and then they do what's called condemning. They can condemn your land.
Oh,
and
my
so
God.
They're forcing like hundreds of my neighbors into what's called these condemnation hearings, right? And so the beauty of this, though, is that this is just yesterday's hearing. There's hundreds of these hearings going on. This is just what happened yesterday. They were offering him like about $110,000 to basically destroy his ranch. We got him $11 million.
Wow.
And you should have seen the look on the lawyers' faces. It was beautiful. But the point is, we don't want the money and we don't want the pipeline. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the price tag so fucking high they just take their fucking bullshit and leave us alone.
Yeah, that's right. They pack up and leave. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're not only just fighting on the condemnation thing, but we have environmental lawsuits going against them because they're wanting to cut right across the Texas Hill Country. I mean, this is pristine. We're sitting over water aquifers and
it's beautiful.
And rivers
it's beautiful.
And all the drinking water. There's no reason for them to be running a pipeline through this land. There's no reason.
No. Yeah, what kind of Nazi fascist bullshit is this, right, Kevin?
It's just about money. I don't know if it's Nazi fascism, but what I do know is it's about some fucking billionaire named Rich Kinder sitting in his office in Houston drawing a line on a map going, here's the best place to put it. And he doesn't give a fuck like who dies in the process.
What an asshole. Well, Kevin, that sounds like quite an ordeal, and the spirit of Bill Hicks' activism definitely lives in you. I hear it, man. And I want to thank you so much for being on my podcast, on my radio show. It was a pleasure having you on. And I hope we get to talk again sometime soon.
Yeah, well, when you get it posted, send me a link, and I'll link it up on my social media.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for being on my program.
Sure. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. That was documentary filmmaker, and the best friend of legendary comic Bill Hicks, Kevin Booth. I hope you enjoyed this Saturday edition of the Bruce Montalvo Show. We'll be back. Same Bruce station, same Bruce dial. Be sure to follow us over on Facebook at Bruce Montalvo Show, at Bruce Montalvo Show, Twitter at Bruce Montalvo, and check us out, give us a like. We'll be back. Sayonara.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network.
Is your cell phone bill out of control? Then this is your wake-up call. The new TracFone Wireless gives you unlimited talk and text starting at $20 a month, no contract, plus unlimited carryover data with active service. Yep, the new TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
A close call for Israel's prime minister. I'm Debbie Handley, Fox News. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is rushed to a bomb shelter after rockets were fired.
One rocket has been fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. Updates are coming in that the Israelis are responding with airstrikes inside the Gaza Strip against factions there. Multiple militant training sites were hit with these strikes, we are told. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was rushed off the stage earlier to a bomb shelter for the second time this year after the rocket targeted the city of Ashkelon that he was campaigning in. Netanyahu told attendees the last person to shoot at him is now, quote, gone. Netanyahu has vowed to respond. He was referring earlier to that person, Baha Abu al-Atta, a Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant who was assassinated by Israel last month following orders that he gave to fire rockets towards Israel and Netanyahu in September.
Fox's Trey Yingst. A woman and two children were found dead outside of a Northeastern University parking garage in Boston.
At this point, this is a death investigation. This investigation, of course, will be headed by District Attorney Rachel Rollins and with the collaborative of Boston Police, Transit Police, and Northeastern Police.
Boston Police Commissioner William Gross. Police responded just before 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday at the Renaissance Park Garage. President Trump wishes everyone a happy Christmas and New Year.
On behalf of the entire Trump family, we wish everyone a joyous and Merry Christmas and a very happy, happy New Year.
The president also thanked members of the military for serving the U.S. on Christmas Day. America's listening to Fox News.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. Can you afford to expand, make that new hire, or launch a new ad campaign? How is revenue pacing against last year? Most companies don't have a clear picture of their finances, so they make key business decisions without critical information, based on their gut or, worse, their fear. And that's why many businesses fail. Are you confident that you've got the right numbers at your fingertips? Serious entrepreneurs and finance teams run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite offers a full picture of all your finances, all in one place, in real time, right from your phone or your desktop. No more guessing. No more worry that what you don't know could kill your company. That's why NetSuite customers grow 3 times faster than the S&P 500. And you can too. Schedule your free demo right now and receive their free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Fox. Set up your free demo and get your free guide today at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
A U.S. Sergeant First Class Michael Goebel is being remembered in his hometown of Westwood, New Jersey, for making the ultimate sacrifice.
The 33-year-old Green Beret was killed in combat in Afghanistan. The Taliban reportedly took credit for the attack. Sergeant Goebel enlisted in 2004 and was a recipient of many awards, including the Bronze Star. Senator Robert Menendez tweeted that New Jersey and this nation mourn the loss of a true American hero. Sergeant First Class Michael J. Goebel of Bergen County gave his life in defense of our country. The mayor of Westwood ordered the flags in the town flown at half-staff in honor of Sergeant Goebel, who he says was the best of the best.
Fox's Lisa Evers. A new study suggests that an important and celebrated American artifact might just be a fraud.
We all have the image of President Abraham Lincoln adorned in his beaver skin stovepipe hat stuck in our heads. It makes the already naturally tall Lincoln appear to tower even higher in our imaginations. And that hat, once appraised at $6.5 million, was purchased more than a decade ago and has been on display at the Lincoln Presidential Library in Springfield, Illinois. But a study commissioned by the museum now finds that there's not only no traces of the 16th president's DNA inside that hat, it's not even the right size for how big his head was. The museum is still paying down a loan of $9 million it used to buy the supposed artifact, among others. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A 10-year-old Mississippi girl with a rare chronic illness was able to attend the latest Star Wars premiere. Addison Richards and her family were flown to the Los Angeles premiere of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker by the Kids Wish Network. The charity grants wishes to children with life-threatening illnesses. I'm Debbie Handley, Fox News.
This news report is brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. NetSuite is offering their free guide, 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits, at netsuite.com/Fox.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network.